Welcome to episode 183 of Masters of the Forge. Oh my god, 183. I am here with Jason.
Hey Adam, you might want to turn the gain down on your mic.
How dare you? And I cannot stress this enough. Is that down?
No,
That's
bring
fine.
up a little bit more, a little bit up. I mean, it's looking like a Megadeth waveform. I mean, seriously, I could take that first part of the waveform. Megadeth. No, not like that, man. There's not even valleys on that. And yes, I'm leaving this in here.
Okay, good. Hi, and welcome to episode 183 of Masters of the Forge, the most professional podcast in all of Warhammer podcasting. My name's Adam, and with me is Jason.
Hey, Adam.
And Thom. Hi, Thom.
Thanks. Yeah, Thom, Tom, whatever you want, man.
Thom is joining us.
It's going to be one of those episodes, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages.
Let me tell you about this episode. Anyways, we don't even pre-record. I already know. Thom is joining us because we literally have no one locally who has any inkling of Custodes. I mean, I think a couple people have Custodes armies, but not like to talk about it. And I met Thom on the Badcast Discord, and he seemed to have his head on tight about this, and so I asked him to join us, and he agreed, which is super nice. Thank you, Thom.
Really happy to be here. Yeah, by head on straight, you mean super obsessed with Custodes? Then yeah.
Well,
that
good.
Works. Oh, good. We can pick your brain.
Yeah.
Oh, that's dangerous. How long do you want this podcast to be?
Hey, man, I'm just letting it roll, you know.
Well, what I appreciate most is that Thom is calling from Boston, which is currently being blanketed by Jesus's dandruff.
Yeah, it is. We've got 9 inches already. We're probably going to get another 9. I actually work for a utility, so I got dispatched the night shift, so I have to work 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. Tech support for the next 3 days. I am not a tech support person at all. So it's going to be fun for everyone. That'll
just be like, oh, yeah, someone will get down. You're just going to be scheduling all night. Yeah, someone will be there in a few days.
Do you have plenty of water? Okay, we'll see you in about a week.
Yeah, exactly. We'll do what we can.
All right, that's awesome. Well, usually we like to ask our guests, our special guests, what their Warhammer pedigree is.
Yes.
How long have you been in the hobby? And how did you get started in it?
I feel like this is going to be a pretty common story. I kind of got into the hobby in high school with, all my other nerd friends, along with Magic the Gathering. And God, we were in a diplomacy club, like the board game. It was that sort of thing.
Wow.
Yeah. Grim. I got started out as Death Guard, mostly, and this continues through this day. I like really tough, heavy infantry. But then, I went to college and I kind of dropped off for a little bit. But then when I moved back up to Boston in 2016, where all the same high school friends who got me into this game reside, I decided to get back into it again with Death Guard, actually, because this was right when Dark Imperium came out. So I've been in this hobby for a really long time, but I've always kind of been off and on. So I think the past 3 or 4 years really represent me getting super serious into this. And in terms of Custodes, I had a bad day last year, so I bought an army.
That's not unheard of. That's not unheard of.
Retail therapy is a thing.
Yeah. It worked too. It was great.
Nice. Yeah. Good. Well, great. That's great. Well, I appreciate you being on. So what we're going to do is we're going to start the way we always start these things, and 80% of Warhammer podcasts start with some hobby podcast. Jason, this is the week where you start your hobby podcast.
Okay. So we had our game last week, so I'm trying to kind of figure out how to expand my Crusade list because...
Oh, I'm going to stop you already. I apologize for being somewhat drunk during the last game, that episode.
Whatever.
I was a little drunk at the start of that episode, so I apologize. Yeah. Okay. Moving.
Anyway.
We also forgot to do our prize drawings for the Patreons on the air.
Oops.
We did it.
Yeah, we were supposed to do that.
Discord. We did it on Discord, so that's all good. Okay. Continue.
Okay. All right. So I wanted to go ahead and expand my Crusade list, making sure that that everything is painted, and two, so that I can take my Crusade list with me to Adepticon, so I can play both the 40K friendly and also have it just available
for Crusade games. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have like 4 requisition points now, so I can bring in some more units. So I'm definitely bringing in Fred the Mutalith because
no question.
First of all, a Mutalith is a great unit for a friendly because it doesn't do anything.
It literally does nothing. And you can't even like reroll the dice or anything. It's just straight up roll these dice and see what happens.
Look, it's eye candy because I really spent a lot of time painting that model. So it's just there to help me, get any sort of painting, nods or serotonin boosts, I guess.
Yeah. Dude, should I buy one of those and put an Orc Weird Boy on top of it and call it another kill rig?
Yeah.
I feel like it's good.
Yeah, it's
I think that works. He would just need a couple guns. That seems right.
It's a good size.
Really weird Cthulhu squig thing.
Yeah. And it's got lots of areas. You do oil washes. This thing will oil wash like nobody's business.
Yeah, that'll be a good oil wash.
There's some great God, I want to use that word. There's some great crevices that would allow an oil wash to flow into, and now I feel dirty that I've said that. All right. But I got to figure out the other units I'm going to bring in just to keep the list friendly. Plus, I think almost all of my rubrics got ranked, and so I can't expand those. So
wait, it looks they got ranked?
Well, they 2 of them received enough experience to go to the next rank.
Oh, they leveled up.
Leveled up, yeah.
Yep. Okay.
So I'm thinking I'm gonna end up with Zangors, and and if you've listened to this podcast for a while, you know my opinion of Zangors real quick.
But you have so many.
Okay. All right. So I started working on that Orc Cthulhu mutated sorcerer thing that doesn't look like an orc. It just looks like, it looks like a Cthulhu something or other,
like a hulked out, Illithid, an Illithid with biceps.
Yeah, pretty much. And I noticed it was like a little bit shorter than a Terminator, so it actually could be a Space Marine that's gone through a mutation. And Thousand Sun sorcerers do tend to go through some mutations if they're not careful. And so I'm going to go ahead and paint him up as like either a Infernal Master or a Exalted Sorcerer. I haven't decided that yet. Okay. But I sculpted some green stuff flames in the open hand, which I was really happy with because I don't trust how well I work with green stuff yet. And so...
Well, you got that that event coming up, so that'll be nice.
Yeah, I got into that. Oh, yeah, I got into that that event in Adepticon a couple of days ago, and I was like...
The green stuff class. That's awesome.
I was way more excited than I think anybody else thought I should have the right to be, and that's fine. I'm okay. Let me be my nerd self. So,
Snorri and I took one. If it's the same person, it's a good class.
That's right.
They taught us fur. They taught us rope. They taught us chain. They taught us a few things, and it was a good class. I'm sure it'll be similar, if not better, since it's many years later.
Yeah,
I think the last time we went was 2015, 2014, like when the podcast started.
Before I met you.
Yeah, it was long.
Yeah,
it was like the year the podcast started. Yeah. Cool. Well, that's awesome. I had some progress as well, even though it's been a short time. So Games Workshop continues to overestimate our ability to build and paint models.
which is why we're doing giveaways now.
We are legally obligated to say thank you. Well, not to thank them, but like to say that Games Workshop sent us some stuff. They sent us some Tau, which is good because I actually needed those for my army, but there's no way I was going to build and paint everything by today, as usual. But I did want to stick Dark Strider together because it's a new model. It's a beautiful model. First of all, 3 of his 4 toes are on the base, are molded to the decorative base. I had to glue his foot to the base, wait for it to set, and then cut around the foot, and then sand the bottom of the base off in order to get him onto my base. It's literally the worst. It's like it's literally worse than COVID, and I'll explain why. I can say that because we definitely the household tested positive yesterday.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah. Okay. That is the bang F word. Really sucks. So, worse than COVID. So anyways, I want to give some advice. The instructions say to put the arm on, then the back sensor, but the arm is kind of, the slot that they gave you for the arm is super wiggly, and the arm could actually be placed in a bunch of ways and it would make sense. So I suggest putting on the back sensor first, just so that when you put the arm on, there's plenty of room for that back sensor.
Okay.
Also, there are 2 baby drones that he has. The baby drones actually have the exact same top piece that goes on each one, except the slot that they go into is different for some reason. So they're actually 2 different pieces, even though they're the same exact thing. So you got to pay attention to which number you put on, and not just clip everything off like I did and not dry fit it. That's how I roll. Shut up. So I also so that's really cool. It's nice, and I'll be talking about the Tau project as we go forward. I don't know if last time, did I say I had hammered down us? Yeah, I think I did. I'm doing them in. All of the models are going to be in Shadow Sun scheme, the white with Tau light ochre spot color.
So that's a definite now. Okay.
Yeah, that's a definite. I'm not. Okay. And also I was talking to Curtis about it. I think I'm going to do them white first. I'm going to do all the white first, and then I'm going to paint all the other colors. Do all the white, all the highlighting, all the shading on the white, hit it with the clear coat, and then do every other color, because that is just going to be the easiest way to do it. Anyways, I also got all the flowers for my Cities of Shaiish that I ordered from Germany, I guess. They're plastic flowers, and I did some of the I did 2 test models for the Cities of Shaiish. Flowers look great. There's a lot more red, and by red I mean kind of a wine color, red wine color, for the shirts and pants. And for the hats, and the armor's black, and the shields are black, and like the boots are black, like all the like heavy leathers are black, and all the cloth is this wine color. And then the flowers are marigolds, because Dia de los Muertos, and the feathers are like a teal color, and all the ribbons are a teal color. I also settled on the basing for that. I went with the autumn, like undead basing for the Cities of Shaiish, and so instead of leaf litter for the Tau, my buddy Jarrell, like a year and a half ago, he works for the DEC, and he is actually, I think he actually is a park ranger at the Albany Pine Bush, and he found a bunch of desiccated mosses, and they're stratified. There's these stratified dried mosses that look almost exactly like like Florida limestone.
Oh,
so, and I have some fine sand, so I'm going to glue those to the bases with fine, like, jeweler's sand, and it's going to be kind of a beach basing for those. And I think that's going to look real nice.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do we know that this desiccated moss or fungus or whatever won't continue to decay?
I mean, probably not after I hit it with a couple of layers of clear coat.
Okay. I am sorry. It's, after talking with our buddy Tim of the winged Tyranids, I just want to make sure.
The wings, well, those
wings. Yeah.
The cicada wings at least are like keratiny, and they'll be fine.
Yeah,
But anyways, maybe you're right. Maybe I should do a watered down white glue, watered down PVA, and slather that on a little bit and let it soak up.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm just wanting to make sure that you don't have any decay issues or weird bugs that decide to show up and infest your house.
Guess what, Jason? I'm 43 years old. By the time that matters, it won't matter.
Okay, that's you do that. You do that. Let's see what happens.
It's fine. Yeah. All right. So moving on. Hey, Thom. So how did painting the new Custodes go? Oh, by the way, as you're chatting with us, you've heard other podcasts talk about how professionally they edit their podcast. Now, we have a literal sound doctor
I was about to
editing our show, but this sound doctor is way too busy to edit out any ums or
I quit doing
or
that.
Dead air. So that doesn't mean you should self-edit. It just means if you listen back to this, you're going to hate yourself, just like I do.
Well, hold on. So fine, I have to defend myself. Great.
No, I'm just speaking. I'm just saying, literal. You literally don't have the time to go back and edit every sentence I speak.
Well,
that's literally every sentence. So don't worry about it, Thom.
That has happened in the past. I quit doing that because there was a certain point where just like, homicide, not a bad idea.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to Adam's house and slowly murder him with a chainsaw blade garrote.
What a great idea. No, I'm going to go through and say this. In podcasting, you're actually kind of expected to have these ums and ahs. This is like a discussion among people who are doing editing for podcasting specifically, that people want that more almost improvisational type of feel rather than a very edited and polished. And if it's very edited
people must
polished,
love our podcast.
Yeah. Sorry, this was something I was
talk, right. You'd get all that stuff, and as opposed to just reading something from a screen.
Right.
Yeah,
so,
true.
we are definitely staying with the unpolished. I mean, if I need to, I can get in and polish this thing a lot, but then I'll want to kill someone afterwards. So
I mean, but it sounds good.
Yeah.
The ums are there, but they're good. They sound good.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I've been singing on and off seriously for like all of my life. Sorry. And so, hating the way I sound in a recording. Yeah, I've hated the way I've sounded on a recording since I was 10. So very, very familiar.
All right, buddy. So did you get a chance to paint up the new model from the box set?
Yeah, that was that's going to be the first thing I talk about. I painted up the Blade Champion.
Nice.
He's a fantastic model. He was really easy to assemble, especially if you go with, so you can model him two ways. You can model him with like the big two-handed sword overhead, or wielding the two smaller swords. And I went with the two smaller swords because I hate modeling two-handed things. It drives me insane.
Yeah.
And I also only had one of these, and I've screwed up multiple guards before in terms of, losing Guardian Spears. Good news, the set has a lot of extra weapons. So, really, really fun to paint, a really dynamic model. I think some of the custodian models, especially if you kind of assemble them stock, tend to have that kind of power squat. They're not really moving. They're not really engaging that much. And that's not a problem with this model. He was great.
That's awesome. Yeah, some of the Custodes are just a little bit older. They're not super old, but they're old enough to still kind of be in this I'm a Terminator in a Terminator pose type situation. Like the in-between times, like around the time we got the new tactical Marine kit, about around that region. But they still look pretty good. But yeah, this model, he is going for it. He is absolutely going for it, and it's a great model.
Yeah, I will say I saved the Henry Cavill head for something else. I'll probably catch flack for this, but I really prefer to paint helmeted models. I just think they look better. I can paint faces. I just don't like how they look, so I went with the helmeted one here. So yeah, and then I did some guard. I'm working on the bikes. Those bikes are both probably the best unit in the new Codex and an absolute pain to put together correctly, because if you want to transport them anywhere, you have to magnetize the lances, you have to magnetize the bases, or you're just resigning yourself to having snapped lances every time you try and move them anywhere.
I do not want this army at all.
Yeah.
No, you really, because they're the best unit, and you're going to want 9, and every single one is a little special pocket of hell. They look great though when they're done.
It's like 3 models in one.
Yeah, it is.
On a clear base.
Oh, those are my
favorite.
Clear
stand. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not great. There was somebody, I can't remember if it was Andy Clark or Eddie Eccles. No, it was Eddie Eccles, the community leader. So he actually posted a picture of his 11 jet bikes.
Oh, no.
He goes, here's what 1,000 points of Custodes looks like.
There's some lunatic on this Discord.
Wow.
Yeah. There's some lunatic on the Discord. I think it's the Goonhammer Discord, who has 27 jet bikes.
Wow.
Yeah, like literally 2,000 points of jet bikes, and I just like
I'm here for it. This is why 8th, 9th edition is so cool. These detachments let you build, for a nominal fee, lets you build whatever fancy army you want, and I'm here for it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, you run out of points real quick, but
you do.
You can go oops all jet bikes if you want.
Absolutely. There's nothing wrong with that. You do your hobby the way you want.
Yep.
So yeah, it was just magic internet or magic podcasting, interview thing that had me ask that question. But I have seen the model, and I think it looks great. You did a great job on it. Really like it. The basing, the armor, everything looks wonderful.
Yeah, and then if I can gush/complain about my basing scheme for a second.
This is a great place for that. Go for it.
Yeah, I don't know. In retrospect, I shouldn't have done this, but I got it in my head that I wanted this like glacial ice Fortress of Solitude style base. But I actually
Henry
wanted
Cavill, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Very Superman. Okay.
But I didn't want it to be like Trump Loyal. I didn't want it to be painted. I wanted it to be actual translucent but blue glacial ice. So I ended up going off the deep end on clear crackle paint. And I came up with this basing method that literally takes 48 hours to make a single base and is just absolutely fraught with all of these problems because if it over crackles, you have to like take the little crackled pieces of ice with tweezers and put them back with PVA glue, and I've become an absolute lunatic about it. But then when it's done, it looks so good, and I'm like, I have to do the whole army like this. I mean, at least I'm doing the Custodes like this and not like guard. Otherwise, or
orcs.
Yeah, I would. Man, frosty orcs. No, don't get me started.
That's what I'm here for.
So it's great. It looks great, and it's exactly what I dreamed of. And every single base takes like 2 hours of work and takes like 48 hours to dry, and I'm insane. Anyhow,
and he also caught some slack for not ringing your bases. Base.
Listen, if this is a safe space to call out Dan Boyd, you tell him he's
absolutely is. Yeah, it absolutely is.
Maximum black, just black rimming all of his stuff. Yeah, I get it because it's black power armor, but some of us, have a little more nuance. That's enough of that. That's enough of that. But yeah, I ringed it in gray sear because I didn't want to make the model appear too heavy. And in pictures, I agree, it does come off a little white, but in person, it's gray. It looks fantastic.
No, it's really fantastic. And I'm going to drop this in the Discord chat for Jason to see, because he needs to see how cool this model looks. And the way that first of all, the sculpting is really good. Like the way that they did the action pose is really nice.
Yeah.
But the crackle ice basing is pretty sweet. Yeah. I'm here for it. If you did take that picture with a white background, you might see the gray a little bit better, for photography purposes. Mm-hmm. But looking at it, it looks great.
Lightbox is definitely on the list. This guy does have a little mini hero rock, but because I kind of wanted that hero landing shattered effect, I actually just took it off. So he's a little more lean forward than he would be if you kind of assembled him stock, but I still think it comes off really well. And it's just, I painted him a quill and shield, which I'll gush about later, but it's absolutely my favorite color scheme in basically all of GW.
Oh yeah, it looks really good. The purple is really cool. All right, so we're going to shift off into our games played section. Jason, just the game we played, which we made an entire episode about, right?
Yeah. So
it was a good game. Thank you for the game.
It's a good game,
I was a little inebriated, and that's fine. That's fine. And we had a fun time, and maybe we should shouldn't make mention of any personal assistance in the next episode, and tap the brakes on that. Not mentioning okay anyone or hey anyone, just for our listeners. So they don't have to turn off their personal assistants while they're talking.
Okay.
Episode.
No more screaming for Google. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, no more shouting Google's name or anyone else's name. I had a game with Curtis. I wanted to try out my 40K friendly list, and not that you need to practice to get good at your list so that you can win the 40K friendly at Adepticon, but more so I know my rules. And so there's a whole thing for a friendly tournament is also knowing your rules and knowing what your army does, so your opponent isn't playing your army for you. Friendly goes many different ways. So I wanted to make sure I started to get the rules for that. And it's all the same units and stuff that I plan on having in my current Crusade army anyways. So, all the beast snagas, all the beast snaga squigs and everything like that. The only big difference is that the 40K friendly is still matched play and they're still using points. So I'm doing units of 5 squig hog riders, which is kind of the optimal size because you don't suffer blast. And you don't have to do janky nonsense with your coherency. But also with power level, it's by 3s. So it's actually worse in power level to have 5 instead of 6. So it's weird. Anyways, I played against him and we had a fun time. He's using his salamanders as Black Templars right now. It's apparently a fun codex to use, and he's actually got fake Helbrecht that he just painted, and his army is gorgeous. I posted some pictures in the Discord. He's got a really beautiful army, and I might have given him Codevid. So good game. I mean, we were playing Mask the entire time, but I had been sitting in that room for an hour before he showed up. So. Wow. Sorry, Curtis, if I gave you COVID. I'm sorry. Love you.
They're going to come out with Hallmark cards for that too.
Yeah, sorry.
That'd be a nice one.
Sorry. I gave you COVID. Well, what I like to do is I like to buy
it should have a glitter bomb with
stuff.
It has to have a glitter bomb in it.
I gave you herpes. So I was supposed to have a game with Tucker last night against his Black Templars. He was the beneficiary of all the Black Templar stuff that GW sent us.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually built the stuff. He actually had it ready for a chat. But I don't want to give Tucker COVID. And that's really all there is to it. Thom, did you get a chance to play with the new Codex yet?
So I haven't gotten a chance to play with the new Codex yet. I have gotten some games in with Custodes before that. Mm-hmm. I will say that, like, based on kind of my exhaustive reading of the new Codex, there's, especially with my army, because I wasn't running a lot of Forge World stuff. I wasn't running Shadow Keepers. Mm-hmm. It's pretty similar. It's just basically everything got better. Yeah. It is. I will say it's a little weird to play against Blood Angels of all armies because you think of Custodes, they just want to like stand on the objectives and really like get in the middle, and then you're facing another army that does exactly the same thing but murders you on the charge. So it was actually a little bit rough. Yeah. And I ended up losing that game, but. Yeah, I'm looking forward to stomping that same Blood Angels army with the Codex very soon. We're actually supposed to play today, but there was this cataclysmic blizzard, so it's not happening.
Yeah. It occurs to me that I didn't even talk about the game. I just said I had the game. The squig, the knobs on Smash a Squig, the mortal wounds it does when it charges is pretty freaking great. Like, he charges in, you roll 5 dice, and on a 4+, they take a mortal wound.
Wow, that's a far cry from that like garbage and scepter stratagem in really 8th, right? That's so much better. It's like rather than do 1 mortal wound on a 4+.
And dude, there's a 1 CP stratagem that lets you charge again if there's nobody in engagement range. Nice. So, like, if your opponent pulls models next to the squig, you're like, well, okay, I guess I'll charge again and do another 5 dice, 4+ mortal wounds. Okay. Oh. It was pretty cool. Yeah. And the regular squigs, all of their weapons do 2 damage. And my boss, I gave him the Warlord trait that it's a 6-inch aura of all bite attacks do +1 damage.
Oh, geez.
That works on characters and core models. So all those bites go up to 3 damage when he's in aura range. It's pretty freaking awesome. Unfortunately, they're kind of hard to hide, and they have a 4+ save. They do have 3 wounds. That's pretty good, the Squig Hogs, but still, they're a little bit squishy. So I guess they're kind of a assault glass cannon, if you take my meaning.
Yeah, okay.
Which sounds actually like a great army to play at the Adepticon friendly, because something tells me the terrain is going to be all the old terrain. If anybody has been to Adepticon knows some of the old terrain is super 5th edition-y. So it'll be very interesting. I'm not sure what it's going to be like, but I can't wait for all of my squiggly purple suns to die to shooting from Space Marines and what else? All right. So yeah, sorry about that. Let's go off to, all right, there's a lot of crap that came out. I'm going to bounce through it and you guys just jump in if you have anything to say about it. The first thing is I wanted to say that it looks like Goonhammer is close to finishing the resurrection of their Administrata map for Crusade. Remember the Administrata map that we were looking at and using? It was like super behind on the development. Like all they had was the special, so you know how every codex has a special resource that they use. They only had the Necron one because it was abandoned. So Goonhammer has taken up development of that, and they're getting ready to release it. So everybody keep your eyes peeled on Goonhammer for that, because keeping track of Crusade is not easy, and especially for folks with limited time. That's why a lot of folks still play their friendly games and their narrative games with matched play rules. Like, a lot of people still do that. Administratum should help keeping everything sorted for you. So we had a ton of January 28th street date stuff because a lot of stuff was delayed. Like, there was a lot of stuff that was supposed to come out last episode that was delayed till this episode, and I'll just touch on the this stuff. So the Kill Team starter set, it's okay. It's got scatter terrain in it. It doesn't have like the full orc terrain. It's cheaper, obviously, but it's still got the full Kriegers in it, and it's still got the full orc kit in it, which is really nice. And those are what we gave away in our giveaway because I don't need more commandos. God's sake. So everybody go ahead and be sure to join our Discord, and you can get in on those giveaways. If you don't, then just the guys that are there will just keep on getting free stuff. So maybe they'll tell you to just leave because they want to keep getting free stuff. Also, it does like start talking about the Nachmund storyline. The specific storyline in that one is that there's an Exodite world in the Nachmund Gauntlet, and there's a warp smith that's trying to take control of that world. And there's a few missions in there, and even like one page of Crusade rules for each army. For people, if you split the box set, you can play through those missions and start getting your hands into Crusade, which is nice. There's new Space Marine models that I sent off to you, Jason. Did you get a chance to put those together yet?
Not yet. First of all, it took...
they got lost in the warp.
Seriously, there was like some sort of drop site issue. The drop pod just didn't make it through. I think it came in a week after it was supposed to be delivered.
Wow.
And so I haven't built them yet because I don't know how I'm going to paint them.
Right.
Do I want to continue with the Blood Ravens? Do I want to make these guys special Thousand Suns, or do I want to put them in the Masters of the Forge scheme that I'm currently kind of figuring out?
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. Fortunately, there was some whining about like how they're new units and they're not in the Codex. GW made them available for free on their website. They're also in the Vigilus book.
Okay.
So keep that in mind. Again, Darkstrider, Combat Patrol, Tau Empire, and the Ethereal on Hover Drone are out. They sent us a Hover Drone, like an Ethereal on Hover Drone. It comes in the starter.
Wait,
so I have 2 Ethereals on Hover Drone. So I'll give away one of those Ethereals to our awesome Discord.
Apparently they're good.
Members.
So
are they?
Really?
Well, good. I really haven't read through that book at all. I think there's a new unit. Well, it's Street Date's over. So is that Tom? Do you know off the top of your head if that Tau commander with the 2+ save was that in the last Codex?
I don't know.
Yeah, Goonhammer just put out their article, and I try not to read those before we record because I don't want my opinion influenced. But there is like a Tau commander unit with a 2+ save, and he looks pretty cool. The thing I like about the Tau battle suits. So remember, I don't know if you've ever had this conversation, like why don't Tau have sweet swords that they can stab people with and cut people in half with their super laser sword? Well, now that they can shoot in combat, their fusion gun is a laser sword.
Yeah.
Right.
They have become Gundams at last.
Yeah, and even the pictures online show them up close and personal with their fusion gun cutting people in half with it. So that's literally what's happening.
But still can't do it in the first round of combat for some reason.
No.
The slow fusion swords.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Well, there's that one stratagem that they have.
There is. Yeah.
That they shoot through. It shoots through schools. Like literally, like you shoot something, and draw a line between yourself and the thing you shot, and everything in between gets hit by the fusion gun.
Nice Johnny Dangerously quote. Also,
thank you. Yeah, I guess it. If it makes a joke funnier if you have to explain it.
Hey, man. Not everyone's seen that movie. That movie's old now.
It's true. Yeah, I am ancient. I'm ancient. So the chapter approved is hot street trash. It's the worst.
Okay.
It's terrible. It's not spiral bound. B, it doesn't have the core rules in it anymore.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. C, did I mention it's not spiral bound? I don't know what they're thinking. C is $40. There is no Jason, you had no business ordering that. It is garbage. There's no reason to own that.
Did I order
it? Like the narrative one, still spiral bound, still has the core rules in it.
Yeah.
Everything you need to play the game is in the narrative booklet. Yeah. The match play one, they're like, match play players can go kick rocks because we don't need you to be convenienced.
Yeah, well, I just don't want to drag that giant core rule book around.
No, yeah. And
I like to keep my shoulder intact.
Right. And I think, for the narrative for the 40K friendly, just bring your narrative book because it'll actually have the rules in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so bad. Anyways, the Tau Codex is well laid out, and I'm looking forward to the campaign rules in that because you're essentially conquering worlds, which sounds like something you could just extrapolate to a generic Crusade system for conquering planets. So I'm going to have a look at that when we talk about the Tau Codex and see if there's ways we can extrapolate that to a much broader campaign system.
I've never had a Tau anything. Like, I don't think I've... So I don't know what the Codex is like. It's just... I should probably order that just so I know what I'm doing.
Right.
Wait, why would I want to do that?
No, don't do that. Well, you'll join me in that episode, and then you'll learn all you need to know.
All right.
At least as far as I'm concerned. So Warzone Nachman Vigilus. We just got that a couple of days ago, so I haven't really eaten that up. But there's not a lot of faction rules in there. There's like some Space Marine stuff. But there are missions and Crusade rules and the Frontierist Battle Zone, which is rules for the new terrain that's coming out. It's like Imperial terrain, a new landing pad, like a new communications tower, a new bunker. Here's the weird thing about these. I already talked about this on Discord, is they are area terrain, right? The two big pieces are area terrain and light cover. So, and they are exposed position. So the rule for area terrain is if you're on it, you get a cover +1 to your cover, +1 to your armor save for cover, right? Exposed position says if you're on it, you don't get a cover save.
Great.
And area terrain, you don't get a cover bonus for being within range of it. It's obstacles. If an obstacle provides the light cover, if you like draw lines, like if you're behind it and your opponent's on the other side, you get a bonus to your cover save. Area terrain doesn't do that. So standing next to it gets you nothing. Standing on it gets you nothing. So what? It's also obscuring, which is fine. That obscuring is great. God bless them, obscuring rules, but why give it light cover if it actually doesn't provide light cover? I don't understand. Yeah. Some folks were saying if you're touching it, but there's no rules for touching terrain. That's something we made up. So I don't know. It's weird. It's something I would have to ask about. And I will. Again, it does take place after the events of the last Vigilus campaign. So given that it's not 100 and whatever years later now, it's just some timey-wimey stuff, but it does happen after Calgar doesn't die, air quotes.
Okay.
So there's that. All right. So I skipped our Beyond the Fringe segment because I'm super professional. Jason, what's your Beyond the Fringe?
So mine's most definitely not hobby or music, anything like that for once. There's a thing called the Conqueror Challenges, which are basically virtual fitness challenges. And I've decided a few weeks ago, or like in December, I decided I need to walk more so that I don't become involved in homicide. And so I started walking whenever, I get tired of answering emails. And so Yeah, that's been something I've been doing now for about a month or so.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided to go ahead and try out these challenges because I'd seen them online, and they're kind of goofy. They give you quote unquote motivation, but it's kind of a way to track your mileage. And if you do a challenge, you get a lovely little medal at the end, like swag. Mm-hmm. And I was like, you know what, let's try one of these. And so I did kind of the shortest one to see what I thought. And there was 20 miles, and I ended up finishing it in a little over 3 days.
Nice.
Because, like I said, I'm walking to make sure that homicide does not become something that I am involved in.
Right. Well, and let's keeping it 100. 100. That is very Caucasian. Anyways,
keeping it 100.
Keeping it 100, Jason. I attended the funeral of a 43-year-old man this week who died of a heart attack.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want that. Yeah.
It's real. It's starting to get real, dude.
Yeah.
Starting to get real. Anyways.
Well, so I got that first challenge done in 3 days, which was 20 miles. I was like, you know what? I don't need to be doing like 20-mile, 30-mile slots. I need to go something a little bit bigger. Otherwise, I'm going to bankrupt myself on this stupid thing. So I decided to go for the Ring of Kerry challenge, which is 124 miles. So
nice. You should download the Road to Mordor app. It tracks your movement. It tracks your walking, and
I should.
It tells you where you are in the trip from Bag End to Mordor.
I should. Cool. I got the idea to do this because you had done the Road to Mordor, and I was thinking that would be cool. You should definitely do
both. This is cool. You should do this, but you should also download that app because it's hilarious.
Yeah, then I can actually understand a little bit more. I know this is going to hurt people, but I've never. It's not that I don't understand Lord of the Rings or any of that. It's just
you don't care. It's fine. You can care about things.
No. Hold on.
You guys see this stuff behind me?
I was going to comment that Thom definitely has a map of Middle Earth.
Oh, I have more than a map. This is a reproduction from the publisher's proof.
Oh my God!
This has Tolkien's notes of where stuff is. It says right next to the Shire that it's on the same latitude as Oxford. And then this is a drawing of Orthanc that he did on the back of a student's report card.
And that's that is the unruined Orthanc.
Yes, exactly.
I'm more interested in that. Like that sort of minutia, like his notes than I am actually, and this is going to sound like heresy, and that's me. I'm more interested in those sorts of things than the actual books, all the other cool stuff that he talks about, like his notes. That's fascinating to me. Well, where it's just
fun fact. J.R.R. Tolkien is also more interested in those parts of his story than the actual story.
Well, there's a 10,000 page, 6-volume set about the writing and development of Lord of the Rings. So yeah, you skip Lord of the Rings, just read that.
I believe it. Okay, this is getting to music nerd. Stravinsky's Rite of Spring, which is an incredible piece of music, love it, blah 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 blah. They actually have the sketches, and I've actually seen that book, and I was seriously thinking, if I check this book out and it never comes back, are the fines worth it?
Maybe.
Is it going to be okay? Yeah. So yeah, but yeah, I'll go through and do the Road to Mordor because Let's do that. All right. So now that we've gone through and brought in Tolkien and Mordor and walking through Ireland, hey Adam, what about you? I see a cursed hike.
Oh, the cursed hike. Yeah, last weekend. We decided I was actually invited. COVID. I was invited to go on the hike. No, I might have given them COVID though. I was invited to go on a hike with my buddy Jay and his friend. Short sunset hike with the dogs and those guys, and starts off, we drove an hour and a half up there, got everything together, put on our clothes. It's snowing. It's beautiful. The first part of the hike, as you're leaving the parking area, you cross a stream next to a lake, and there's as you're looking across the stream, there's a natural stair that goes up into the trail. So
I'm trying not to quote Monty Python right now.
I started walking across, and Sonny drags me off the trail into the lake. Now, first of all, this was not part. Two things were wrong here. A, Sonny dragged me off the trail, and I fell in the lake. Two, it was not the trail. It was a beaver dam going across. I was actually supposed to walk downstream a little bit, cross at a safe part, and then walk back up, jog back up. No, I was trying to cross a beaver dam. In my defense, there were foot tracks across the beaver dam. People just crossed it. But, you know, me with the dog, I should not have. I fell. The lake just looked like a field, obviously, right? Like, because snow. But yeah, I fell in the lake. We couldn't even start the hike. There was no. I was in a lake, dude. There was no starting that lake. So that cost me $150 because I had to buy everybody dinner.
Ooh.
And we drank quite a bit, actually, because I mean, if you're gonna have a nice time, I mean, you know, after that, it was brutal. Anyways, yeah, good times. They went on a hike today. They didn't invite me.
Aww.
I wouldn't have invited me either. Don't worry about it. Yeah. I'm not feeling bad about that. So, Thom, did you have an awesome time in England?
I did. It was fantastic. And I did get to go to Warhammer World, and I'll get to that in a second.
Yay!
But I was one of many people who was supposed to get married in the summer of 2020.
Oh, no.
And so that didn't happen. The wedding eventually happened, actually in Hawaii. It ruled. But we ended up with our honeymoon flight credit that was use or lose by March 2022. So we just, when the world was sane or saner before Omicron, we booked this massive trip, and then it was kind of 50-50 whether we're going to go, but we liked, you know, we're very safe, and frankly, I don't interact with people really right now.
Mm-hmm.
So we decided to go, and everything was great, and it was a lot safer, or at least I felt safer over in the UK, just because they were like 2 or 3 weeks ahead of us.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get to Warhammer World, but I do want to spend a quick moment to talk about how awesome high tea is, because I feel like in America, we don't fully understand what this is.
Okay. Yeah. Lay it on us.
Yeah,
lay it on us. I want to hear it.
Here's the premise, right? So you get your tea, and you can like tea or not like tea, but the tea that you get is good. And then they bring you this giant tower of food, which is sandwiches, scones, and then just dessert stuff. And
tiered on a tray.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And what I didn't fully understand until I went there is that this is the British version of an all-you-can-eat buffet, but the food's incredible. Like, you keep taking the sandwiches off the bottom, they will keep bringing you sandwiches. Like, it's maybe it was indecorous, but man, I felt like I got value out of some of those teas, because you know, at a certain point, like, they started bringing us stuff that wasn't on the menu. I was like, I felt like Homer Simpson at that like seafood buffet episode. It's like, this is not a man, this is a monster.
See, and they make fun of us for our overeating. They've just had this secret buffet that they just have they have a servant bring it to you instead of you getting up and walking to it. Who's version? Yeah. There's this worse
Golden Corral. So that was fantastic. But I did manage to take a day trip. So we stayed in London, but I took a day trip up to Warhammer World, which is in Nottingham, which is about an hour and a half train ride. And I cannot recommend it enough. If you're ever in London and you have a day to kill, you know, just wake up in the morning, you know, go to King's Cross, take the train up. You'll get there, you know, maybe 9 or 10. And then, I just spent the day there. Everything about it is awesome, but you know, the models, the dioramas they have are just incredible. You know, I went in there a little bit burned out on hobbying, you know, see my previous rant about the bases, and I came back just like fully charged and ready to go. And they have they have everything. You know, they got a ton of Space Marines, but they've got Legion of the Damned. They've got historical stuff. They've got like the first Space Marine ever who looks like trash, but it's really cool to see him. They have a Manta, which, regardless of how big you think a Manta is, it looks bigger in real life. It was just...
I've seen one once.
It absolutely insane. And yeah, it was great. And the food at Bugman's sucks, which is actually good, because I was worried that terrible British food would like vanish from the earth. No, it lives, and it's in Nottingham.
It's in Bugman's.
Yeah.
Ye Old Trip to Jerusalem is where you want to go, and I should have mentioned that they had some pretty good food there. But yeah, you gotta experience the terrible bland dinner or lunch at some point.
Yeah. Well, we ate so well like the rest of the time we were there. I was like, oh, this is, because I've been to London a bunch of times, I've been to the UK a bunch of times, and I'm like, oh, this is what I missed. This like weird gray burger that was like weirdly spiced. It was like, yes, this is the sandwich I crave. And then I spent way too much money because there was a Forge World store there, and they had the Custodes Jump Pack Infantry, which you can't get in the States right now. Those are coming. And then I bought one a little wild on like the Warhammer World only stuff. I got like the little Bilbo, the Bugmans, and all that stuff. So cannot recommend it enough. And Nottingham's actually kind of a cool place to hang out. There looked like there were a lot of good pubs and like decent nightlife. So if you wanted to like make like a evening trip of it, I'm sure that would be good too. But yeah, it was awesome.
All right, nice. Well, that sounds like fun.
That's cool.
Yeah. We got to go up there sometime, Jason, before I have my eventual heart attack and or butt cancer. Got to get that off the bucket list.
Yeah.
So
hey, I'm getting Adepticon in finally. That's
yeah. So we're an hour in, guys.
Yeah, I know, right?
An hour in. This is great. So much content for the content god. Let's take a quick break, get some water. And when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit, a lot about the Custodes. And there's some bullets here that we didn't fill in that we're going to ask Thom to fill in for us.
Yeah.
Off the cuff. It's going to be great.
My body is ready.
Damn, I knew it was around here somewhere. Damn, where is it?
Can I help you?
Ah! Scared me.
What do you seek?
I need the perfect scenario for a narrative game I'm running this week, and I can't find one.
Sir, this is the Black Library. We don't have narrative scenarios.
Well, then where should I go?
Might I recommend the Tabletop Campaign Repo?
The Tabletop Campaign Repo? What's that?
The Tabletop Campaign Repo is an ad-free site for hosting resources related to playing tabletop miniatures wargaming.
Oh, like scenarios?
Absolutely. Also, event packs, custom objectives, tracking sheets, custom terrain rules, maps, icon packs, award templates, and more.
Oh, and this is for Warhammer 40k?
Among other things. There's also Age of Sigmar, Kill Team, Warhammer Fantasy Battle, and others. They're always open for content submissions for any system, even non-Games Workshop materials.
Oh, that's awesome. It sounds like a great way to save all of this great content the community makes. A lot of that stuff often ends up disappearing into a dead message board or Facebook group.
Exactly. It's a real community effort.
Great. So how do I get there?
Just go to that webway gate marked tcrepo.com.
tcrepo.com. Got it. Can I ask you one more question before I go?
Fire away.
This place is really easy to find. How come Aramon can never find it?
Oh, because it's more funny that way.
Oh, yeah, clearly.
Once again, the Tabletop Campaign repository can be found at tcrepo.com, and they're always looking for submissions.
Greetings, mofos.
Are you out of George Dickel number 8, staring at a broken chess machine?
Well, don't want to spend the rest of the year tied to that couch?
Well, why don't you head on over to the 1 Hour a Night Facebook page and see what exciting stuff is going on there. It's a place to post all your daily progress in the hobby grind, as well as receive and give positive feedback. Also, there are usually a few interesting challenges going on.
That's right. All you have to do is search for 1 hour a night on Facebook. That's numeral 1 hour a night, all one word. Blood serum tests will be administered prior to approval.
Se til helvete og kom dere vekk. Det ikke bikkje, det en slags ting. Den imiterer bikkje, men det ikke det. Kom dere vekk, idioter!
What he said. And we're back. Episode 183, Masters of the Forge. I'm here with Jason and Thom. Hey, guys. That was a good break. Got my water. Flip the circuit breaker because we tried running air, heater and microwave at the same time.
Oh.
Always good. Always good.
Cool. Sounds like my apartment.
Custodes. So what do we expect from a Custodes army, right? We expect very small model count, right?
Yeah.
But that small model count should stand up against mobs of dudes trying to kill them. Right? And they should just wade through battle before they perish eventually from like single model attrition. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not attrition really, but it kind of is.
Yeah, if you lose one, you're in a bad way.
Yeah, like each one should kind of be whittled down. It should be like a slow, like clawing of strength, not huge swaths of models or anything like that. So I think that's kind of what we expect from the Custodes. Thom, do you think that's a fair assessment?
Yeah, I think I think this happens a lot with people who are playing against Custodes, where they're like, I'm not doing anything. I killed one model this turn. And you realize, like, that's 75 points. Like, you knocked out a squad when you killed that guy. Mm-hmm. So, and I think, the other thing that you expect from Custodes is gold. Lots and lots of gold.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, that's correct, yeah.
Yeah, you should see an implacable force on the battlefield that is hard to uproot. Perhaps it will suffer it's supposed to suffer a little bit in the objective game, right? You shouldn't be able to just steal all the objectives with your one model, but they do have some qualities of that in the army, and that's what we're going to kind of talk about right now, and that's in these basic detachment rules, right? So talk to us, Thom, about a Custodes detachment. What does it look like? What are some of the things that you get from that?
Yeah. So, kind of off the top, and this was also, this is something that came out in the chapter approved, but you're really encouraged now to pick just like a single sub-faction. So, I think at this point, when you're making an army, you're just going to be all one shield host. You're not going to mix and match. But what happens is, you can run Custodes or Sisters of Silence. The keyword for Sisters of Silence is actually Anathema Psychonaut, but that's too many syllables. So you can run them together and still maintain these detachment abilities. But the big things that you get is all Custodes infantry and all Sisters of Silence troops, which basically prosecutors, get objective secured. And note that this includes infantry characters, which we'll probably cover a little bit later when I gush about a particular unit. And each Custodes unit counts as 2 models for the purpose of securing an objective. So with the Custodes army, you're going to see a lot of minimum size units because of the way the stratagems work and how they're cheaper for these 3-person units. And each of those units is going to count as 6 models for controlling an objective. So like, even if you've got like an intercessor squad there, you're not going to take it back from them. You're going to have to kill one of them.
And I really like that because you don't want the Custodes, you don't want Imperial Knights, you don't want any of these armies to not be able to participate in the objective game, because then that incentivizes that army to just kill you outright and to obliterate you instead of playing that game. And I think the objective game is more fun than the murder all the things game. And I think that's a good way to do it. It's not my objective secured is just plain better than yours. It's just a little bit better. I count as a few more models. You're not going to steal an objective from 20 orc boys and you shouldn't.
Yeah.
But you can certainly steal it from another small squad, especially after you murder a few of them.
Yeah, yeah. The other thing is, in the old Codex, the bikers had objective secured, including the bike captain, which was a little stupid. Like, it just led to kind of degenerate things. And I think one of the big things about this Codex and the detachment rules and all the other rules we're going to get to is they're going to get rid of some of the nonsense that was happening, late 8th, early 9th, but replace it with more fun, more flavorful stuff that maintains some of that power level. Like, there's almost no 3-up invulns anymore in this Codex, which I think is going to make some people very sad and a lot of people extremely happy because playing, it's like, well, are you spiking your 3-ups? Great, you won. Which is not really a fun play style.
You can get it. It's just usually a temporary situation.
Yeah.
Like a stratagem or something?
Yeah, like there's literally a stratagem that does that.
There's a relic, and then and then there's also a Crusade relic that grants it.
A relic.
Thousand Suns has something similar. Yeah. I don't know if it gets to 3-up. No, there's one that gets to 3-up, but yeah.
So, kind of rounding out the detachment abilities, there's the Emperor's Legion is the build restrictions that you kind of first saw with like Lord of the Death Guard and whatever the equivalent is in Space Marines, which is basically you can only have one of each type of shield captain, and for every Sisters of Silence model, you need a Custodes model, so you can't fill out your battalion with just really cheap prosecutors. And then they all have they also count as 2 models for Lookout Sir, which is also important because you're going to be running around with a lot of 3-person squads, and you want to protect the characters. And then they all get a specific shield host fighting style, and then they get martial. I haven't heard this word said out loud yet. Katas, maybe?
Some people say katas, some people say katas, and I think, some people say karate and some people say karate. So it's one of those things, I think.
Okay.
We could ask Google. Hey,
the whole thing off.
Sorry. Do go on.
All right. So you want me to cover how the katas work?
Yeah, I put on, when I was doing these notes, I put on my Juggalo makeup and I said, katas, how do they work? How do they even work? So,
oh wow, we're going there today.
I mean, it's a thing we're doing right now. But yeah, you know what? I wrote all these notes out just so I would understand, but I bet you can explain it to the listeners.
So this is kind of a similar version of Necron command protocols, but with a little more flexibility. So you have 6 different katas, and you get to select 3 secretly at the start of the game. Each kata has 2 stances, so there's stance 1 and stance 2. You select one to be your primary, then one to be your secondary, and then one to be your tertiary, and you note all of this secretly. And then in each of your command phases, you basically reveal saying, I am in this kata and I'm choosing this stance. So basically the way it works is you can move from primary to secondary the next turn, or you can go to the other stance of the primary. And it's one of those, it's a lot of words to explain this, but once you kind of see it laid out, it's pretty intuitive. And then each shield host then has what's called a favored kata, which is a kata that they, favor and tend to use. So whenever they activate that kata once per battle, they get the opportunity to be in both stances at once. Then there's also a stratagem, which is going to be really useful for one of the katas. Basically, you can put one unit in a different stance from the rest of your army for 1 or 2 command points to spend, depending on the size of the unit. So just kind of using this as an example, you're going to start a battle, and let's say you're going to designate Callistus, which is the movement kata fundamentally, as your primary, and then Dakitari, which is the anti-horde melee combat, as your secondary, and then Captaris as your tertiary. So this is how this is going to work. So turn 1, you say in your command phase, I'm going to be in Callistus stance 1, let's say, and that one allows you to, I can't remember between the 1 and 2. I haven't memorized these. I'm really sorry.
No, that's okay. This is impressive because, I mean, this seems to be more of a That's what I'm looking for. This seems to have like a lot of subtlety in it, and you have to
there's a lot of power here, but it's also it is a lot of it's very subtle.
You have to set it up.
Yeah, you have to set it up in just the right way, and if you set it up in the wrong way, I think you're really going to be punished. Although there's a couple ways to kind of monkey around with stuff to kind of save your bacon if you end up in a bad spot. So let's say round one, you're in the Callistus kata, it's your primary kata, and you're saying, okay, this round I want units that advance to count as remaining stationary. And so that applies to your whole army. So let's say, I don't know, for example, you have 9 bikes all armed with Melta salvo launchers, and you want them to have a 44-inch threat range. Well, you can do that because you can bike advance them, and then they can, shoot their heavy weapons at no penalty.
And that seems like a no-brainer for turn 1, being able to advance and shoot without penalty.
Yeah, Callistus is a pretty no-brainer turn 1. The other stance is you get to roll 2d6 for your advanced rolls and take the highest.
Uh-huh.
So you have a lot of... So as long as you've designated that as your primary kata, you get to choose which one you want depending on the battle situation.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you've got first turn and you can really, get your shooting positioned well, if you advance, then you go stance 1. But if you want to go and take objectives with infantry, then you can just be like, oh, I want to advance further. And then, Solar Watch, their favored kata is Callistus. So one of those rounds, they can do both.
Right. And you don't lose the ability to do the other one later. So that's the thing. You can't reuse a stance.
Yeah.
But if your entire army is this host, you get the ability to use both of the stances in the same kata in one turn of the game, and you don't lose the ability to do the second one.
Yeah, so if you're Solar Watch, you can advance and count as stationary for 2 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
So that's your turn 1. Let's say it's your turn 2. You then have the choice of staying in Callistus and using the other stance, or moving on to Dakitari, which is really going to be your bread and butter kind of melee kata, which either grants you an extra attack at the cost of going to 1 damage, which is fantastic in Custodes because you're seeing all of this -1D everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
You think of Thick City, you think of Dreadnoughts,
Orcs.
All of that stuff. And so the ability to basically get an extra attack at no penalty because all of your stuff is D1 anyhow is really good. And then the other one, I think especially for the other stance for Dakitari, which especially against orcs or any other sort of horde group is going to be really nasty, is basically it cuts your pile-in and consolidate moves by 2 inches, which is absolutely brutal.
That's excellent.
So, you do that, and that's kind of your bread and butter. And then you do that for round 2 or round 3. And, then round 3 comes and you decide whether you want to do that or advance to the next one. The one trick, though, is once you've done your last stance of your tertiary kata, you're done. You get no more katas, with the exception of a Warlord trait. But so you really do have to kind of space it out and not advance too quickly.
Yeah.
But that's counterbalanced by the martial discretion stratagem, which is going to be really useful because you can put one unit in a different stance, even if you've already used that stance. And then there's also a kata that allows you to basically do actions and shoot or do actions and move. And you're not going to want your whole army to do that. But for a single unit that, you need to do this action, it's going to be really good.
I could definitely see a jet bike using the stance 2 of Callistus on turn 5 just to...
Oh, yeah.
I need to be entirely in this other corner of the battlefield. I'm going to go ahead and do that.
Yeah, and shoot. Yeah, it's... the big takeaway so far is just, hey, jet bike's good. Who knew?
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. I think, folks, it is pretty complicated, but I think that was a pretty good description of what it is. Oh, by the way, so in karate or karate, I should actually look that up too. It's spelled Kata and it's pronounced kata, but this is spelled Kah apostrophe or Ka apostrophe Tah or something. So everybody feel free. This is space future magic.
Yeah,
I'm going to hop on your Discord after this, and you all can feel free to yell at me for saying it wrong. I think I go with Kata because it's very Klingon, you know. It feels very Kata.
I'll go with that.
And that apostrophe is there for a reason. Okay?
Exactly.
That apostrophe isn't there for its own good. It's doing a job, and you know what? You have to respect the job that it's trying to do. So yes, I like Kata. I like that a lot. So anyways, so then each shield host, as we said, has its own fighting style. And this is kind of like chapter tactics. You get 2 special abilities that go with your shield host. And it also specifies the kata that they're good at. And as we said, you can essentially once per turn or once per game for a turn, you get both stances of that kata without losing the second one. So let us talk a little bit. So Anthem of Psychonaut detachments, it's kind of like the Custodes ones. You can still have Custodes in them without breaking any bonuses.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure what else they get for it.
Well, so Anathema Psychonaut detachments exist to allow you to run a Sisters of Silence only army.
Yeah.
Which, you know, is very flavorful, and especially like there's that gorgeous like Black Ships transport from Forge World that I like. It's so cool. It doesn't even have 40k rules. I don't care. That thing looks awesome.
That thing is I know
what you're talking about.
Right? Okay. Like that's a very Dune.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, Sisters of Silence, Bene Gesserit, kind of a good feeling there.
Our buddy Berman has like 100 Sisters of Silence painted.
Oh, geez.
What?
That's a lot.
Wow.
So I'm not sure you're going to see a lot of Anathema Psychonaut dedicated detachments, although you might see it in kind of big Crusade forces.
Yeah.
And we're going to get to that in the Crusade rules. But I do think that the Custodes really do lend themselves to soup, both in kind of the lore and in kind of the way they work.
Yeah.
So that's really all there is. And then Anathema Psychonaut, they have their own warlord traits. They have they're kind of a little mini army unto themselves.
Cool. So let's do this. Let's talk about shield hosts, shall we? Thom, why don't you fire off the shield host you chose to talk about for this episode?
Yeah. So I'm going to rant about the Aquilian Shield. I love these guys. I do want to talk briefly about the Emperor's Chosen off the top, because they're going to be the generic shield host.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're the, like, if you're not part of any of these other shield hosts, you're Emperor's Chosen. And I think they're going to be the ones that you're going to see the most of, you know, either in casual or in competitive play, just because they're the most flexible and they're the most, they're frankly the most powerful, because they're the ones, they get the 1 free reroll of a hit or a wound. They get a 4-up feel no pain against all mortal wounds. They get the ability to choose a different shield host fighting style for a unit with first stratagem. So I just wanted to mention them briefly, because they're probably going to be the ones you see the most. But now to the guys who matter, which are the Aquilian Shield, which are one of the things that really drew me to this codex and drew me to this faction. So the Aquilian Shield are basically the bodyguards of people important to the Imperium, whether those people like it or not. Basically, they read the auguries and they interpret these dreams and messages from the Emperor. Like, the background of the lore for the Custodes is that they never dream, but if they do dream, they think the Emperor is talking to them. So basically, the custodians will identify these people who are important to the Imperium, and then target them, whether they're like, you know, a random Imperial Guardsman, a Space Marine, a Inquisitor, and they will protect them from all harm until they do the thing that they were supposed to do to protect the Imperium. And then the best part, they immediately vanish. So there's this great story, it's actually in the Codex, about this poor guardsman who's like literally on the executioner's block before the commissars, and these Aquilian Shield guys teleport in and save him from the commissars, And he goes on and he wins this war and he becomes a war master. And then the second after the campaign is over, the Custodes vanish and the commissariat immediately executes him.
Wow. Okay.
So that's really their flavor. And they really capture, there is a certain brutality about the Custodes, which is like, there are 10,000 of us and there are quadrillions and quadrillions of people in the Imperium. How can we make a difference? And the way they try to do that is and you'll see this for all of these factions, is they're really trying to maximize, forgive the business speak. I deal with markets. They really try to maximize the amount of leverage they have in the situation. The Aquila and Shield are really, really good at that. And they also have the best paint scheme, purple and gold. They look fantastic. I love them.
Which is how you painted this cool dude on the crackle ice.
My whole army is going to be painted as Aquila and Shield, and in narrative and Crusade, I'm going to run them as Aquila and Shield. In competitive, because I'm an insufferable tryhard, I will run them as Emperor's Chosen. But so their Shield Host specific. So getting into the rules, their Shield Host specific fighting style, they ignore -1 AP. Which is a little niche, but can be extremely effective against some armies, and might frankly be extremely effective against Tau, because those strength 5 -1 AP pulse rifles are pretty scary looking.
Yeah.
The other thing they get to do is all of their units get to heroically intervene as if they were characters. Again, it's a very kind of tricky style, and I feel like if you position them well and people aren't prepared for it, you can really, set up combats to your advantage. Their stratagem is also really plays into their flavor. It's called Shield of Honor, which is select an Imperium infantry character model. So no knights. You used to be able to do that, which was really funny, but no knights anymore. Until the end of the phase, while that Imperium character unit is within 6 inches of a friendly Custodes core unit, enemy units cannot target that character with ranged weapons. So it's basically a bodyguard stratagem. Not much to write home about, but extremely flavorful. And also, if you're a jerk, you can hide your bodyguards behind obscuring terrain, and they just can't be shot at. The Warlord trait I specifically love. It's called Revered Companion, and it's just a straight half damage characteristics of all attacks targeting the Warlord. Wow. So you can make a bite captain with a 4-up invuln, a 5-up feel no pain, and having all damage, and he's probably the toughest unit in the entire Codex. Yeah. And he's just really, really fun. Unfortunately, the Shield Host specific relic is not great. It is it's a Presidium Shield, which is what they're calling him now. It just says -1 to wound rolls. The issue is that I don't think you're going to see or really going to want to run Presidium Shield characters. The one that you would only really ever want to run would be the Vexilla, the standard bearer. But in the new Codex, he can't take any weapon anymore, which sucks. And I don't know why they did that. He can't even take Misericordia, which is the little dagger that they all get now.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I know. I made one, and I'm like, well, am I going to chop his hand off now, or I don't know.
That's like for only if you really need one model to stand there and not die ever, I guess.
Yeah, I guess, but even that
and not do anything else.
Yeah, he literally strength 5 AP 0 attacks, I guess. So I love these guys because I think they have the best paint scheme. They've got fantastic lore, which I've gushed about before. My favorite page of the whole Codex is actually so for each of the Shield hosts, they describe the deeds of legend, which is basically one of the custodians of that Shield host and all the cool stuff he did. And there's this little sentence where it's oh yeah, so we went to this hive world and we had to protect this child, and oh, by the way, his name was Helbrecht.
Whoa.
Incredible.
That's awesome.
And the other thing I really like about them, and I feel like I kind of struggle with this sometimes in my narratives, especially because all my friends play Imperium. Why am I fighting you? Why are the custodians fighting the Blood Angels?
Right.
Why? And I think the Aquila Shield really gives you a lot of creative space to be no, we're protecting this jerk. We're protecting this heretic that the Blood Angels want to kill. and we have to get them off it because we're the custodians and that's the Emperor's will, and if you don't like it, we'll kill you.
So you could have some objective markers that would be like, make your own objective markers that are like little heretics that are like hanging out.
Oh yeah, or even like a little chaos spawn. It's like whatever you want. It's like, we need this chaos spawn. I don't know what to tell you. We had a dream, or Xenos or whatever else. So it really gives you a lot of flexibility, because one of the things that takes me out of narrative games is like when I was playing Ultras, I'm like, Ultras versus Blood Angels, like why is this happening? What? Yeah, so
it's always a training exercise.
Yeah, or it's like,
how many training exercises? Yeah, how many training exercises can I take part in?
Well, and the good news is for all custodians is that if you're ever fighting another custodian's force, you just get to say blood games, and that solves all your problems.
Yeah, there you go. That's perfect.
All right, so that's Equivalent Shield. They're awesome. Jason, you have Shadow Keepers?
Yeah. Hold on, real quick.
Hold on, let's play some. Can you superimpose some goth music over?
No,
this,
I'm not going to superimpose goth music. All right, so I was looking through, and the one that kind of popped to my head was Shadow Keepers, and these guys watch over the dark cells beneath the Imperial Palace, and basically just they're jailers essentially to make sure that nothing that they have hidden away from prying eyes goes away or gets away. Which automatically, to me, with both Blood Ravens and Thousand Sons, is my primary.
It speaks to you, yeah.
Yeah, it speaks to me. It's like, oh, this is who I need to go through and fight, and I need to figure out who these guys are to take them down.
And I'm pretty sure some of their sacred texts do have some Trent Reznor lyrics in them somewhere.
They might still have him on ice, They might.
Yes, it's true.
They could.
Yeah, I mean, you never know.
He's still playing.
Yeah.
Still a one-man band.
Just like a With Teeth album in like a stasis field.
Yeah, there you go. Or maybe a demo of Pretty Hate Machine. Who knows? All right, now that we've gone way beyond where we normally go. All right, so Shield hosts specific fighting style. So they're supposed to be unrelenting in the pursuit of their quarry, et cetera, et cetera. And so they have 2 traits. So while an enemy unit is within engagement range of a unit with this trait, subtract 1 from the attacks, which I think that's kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy against some armies.
Yeah. And then the second trait...
Orcs would not appreciate that.
Yeah. Like, a lot of their rules seem to be like, it's nice that you have hordes. It's nice to have things, isn't it? Trait 2. Each time a model in the unit with this trait makes an attack against a character unit, you can re-roll the wound roll.
Ooh, just all the wound roll.
Yep.
Wow, that's really great, especially with all the stuff out there right now that's only wound on a 4+ or whatever. Well, guess what? I re-roll.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
The Martial Katas, or was it Kaptaris?
Yeah.
So stance 1, each time a melee attack is made against this unit, the hit roll cannot be re-rolled.
That is so cool.
Haha. It's just amazing how these rules are basically a way to keep other people from touching you. That's the way they're that mechanic.
All the stuff, it seems there's a lot of stopping rerolls from happening. All the stuff that is supposed to improve massed attacks against a more elite force is being deafened here a little bit.
Yeah, it's a very like prison, like in the Magic the Gathering sense sort of thing. It's like, oh, you want to have fun? Well, my fun is you not having any fun.
Yeah.
All right, what about stance 2, Jason?
Each time an enemy unit that is within engagement range of any infantry units from your army with this ability is selected to fall back, you roll off with your opponent, add 1 to your opponent's roll if the unit can fly. If you win, that enemy unit cannot fall back this turn. So it's awesome. You're not going anywhere. Yeah.
Holy moly, everybody gets that?
Yeah.
Yeah, all the custodians units in the army get that, yeah.
When I was going over and reading over these rules,
the dreadnoughts don't get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
As I was reading through these rules, I was like, "Wow, this is a way to basically stop damage from even being rolled, or it's all sorts of fun stuff."
Yeah.
All right. So,
I think you're. Yeah. Go ahead.
Good.
I think because when I was talking about the katas, Kataris is going to be, you're going to see it a lot as a tertiary kata when people are trying to escape from your clutches or trying to do some end of game nonsense. It can really just shut it down. So I think you're going to see that a lot at the end of games.
Yeah, that's going to be that's like a turn 4, turn 5 kata, I guess. All right, shield host specific stratagem. So I think I finally figured out how to spell stratagem. I'm quite happy with myself.
Nice.
Grim Responsibility, so it's 1 CP. You're going to use this in any phase when a Shadowkeep unit from your army is selected as a target of an attack. Until the end of the phase, each time an attack is made against that unit, subtract 1 from the strength characteristic of that attack.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah.
Real good.
Like, I went through and chose this because, it's the whole, Gothic whatever and blah, blah, blah. But the more I was looking at it, I was like, wow, this is actually not bad,
it's so good.
Yeah. Like, I'm not going to buy and build Custodes because that's not happening.
In any phase.
Yeah. All right. Shield host. Yeah.
Amazing.
All right. So the specific Warlord trait is Lock Warden. Each time an attack made by this Warlord is allocated to a character unit, an invul save cannot be made against that attack. Yeah.
You're already re-rolling all of your wounds against characters too.
Yeah. I mean,
like a bite captain with Lock Warden. Yeah, he's nasty.
Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
Shield host specific relic, stasis, oubliette. Man, there's some words. Okay. Oubliette. There we go. Shadowkeepers model only. At the start of the fight phase, select 1 enemy unit within engagement range of the bearer. That unit is not eligible to fight in this phase until after all eligible units from your army have done so.
Well, these guys are dicks.
Oh, they're so mean.
Yeah.
They're the you don't get to have fun, you don't get to do anything shield host. I love them.
I like their paint scheme in that it still has the gold, but it's still more of a basically like kind of a black with gold, which is kind of what I have an army that's kind of like that.
It looks so good, and apparently, like everyone who tries to paint it just like has a breakdown. But if you do it right, it looks amazing.
Look, don't go through and try and challenge me to do stuff because I have bad habit of going through and saying I can do that. All right, what about you, Adam? You picked up.
Speaking of painting challenges, I forgot to mention in my game with Curtis. I had the 30-man Grot unit with the buff from the named character Grunt Herder. So they were all hitting on 3s to hit and everything. It was awesome. And we got in our heads that it would be a really good idea if I bought 30 of the newer Sculpt Gretchen and 3D printed a bunch of beaky heads. Beaky helmets and glued beaky helmets on them. So they're like little Space Marine Gretchen. How cool would that be?
You should do that.
Yes.
Can I do it before Adepticon? That's the thing.
Yeah. I think the thing though is you're saying 30 grots here. Do you really want to paint 30 grots?
Oh, of course not.
Okay.
Of course not. Do I want to paint 30 grots? Do I want to paint 30 different Space Marine chapter beaky heads? No, I do not.
Should. I think you should do it. That's going to be awesome. That's going to look amazing.
Like something I should do. All right. So I picked what I thought might be the most obtuse shield host. They are the Dread host, and what I put here was they are essentially the find out step to the most egregious F arounds in the galaxy.
Nice.
They're a group of custodians that are the chained dogs of the Emperor. And the Indomitus Crusade has finally cut them loose. There are several thousand custodians in number, and they're arranged into shield hosts that have access to 3 advanced space cruisers called the Moirades. And their purpose is seeking out and waging vengeful war upon direct threats to the Emperor. And they use whatever means necessary. Their bastion on Terra sports like these huge eagles that have powerful augers that can actually sense things for like miles around the Imperial Palace. Nothing escapes their like recording and finding out what's happening around them. And they use this is good opportunity to bring up something we talked about in the past, the Eyes of the Emperor. These are basically retired custodes who have physically and mentally degraded to the point where they feel like they're not perfect enough to defend the Emperor, but they're still better than everybody else.
Yeah.
like this degradation has no effect on gameplay. If you were to make a character, they would not have reduced stats, but in their mind, their minuscule degradation and ability has left them unable to perform that duty. So they wander around the galaxy looking for threats to the Emperor, and they report back. And a lot of the time they report back to the Dread Host, because the Dread Host is like, yeah, we'll go kill all these people right now. Let's do it. They're basically the crusading custodes. Like they crusade. They they go out and they eliminate threats. Sometimes one ship shows up, sometimes two ships shows up. Very rarely 3 ships show up, and so everybody shows up, and they burn a planet to the ground. So again, these guys are the come at me bro shield host. So their specific fighting style is instruments of the Emperor's Wrath. For trait 1 is attacks on this model attacks this model makes within 9 inches improve their AP by 1. So if they're within 9 inches of something, if they have not deep struck in and they're mushed into battle, their APs are improved by 1, which, hey, at least the guy with the Justice Shield gets AP -1 on his attacks.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah.
I will say this is specifically really good with the axes, because it's always a trade-off. Would you want the axe, which is strength 8 AP -2, or do you want the spear, which is strength 7 AP -3? And here, because being strength 8 is a really important cutoff, and getting that extra AP kind of mitigates some of the downsides.
And -3 and -4, there's almost no difference between those most of the time.
Yeah, and there's a lot of ignore AP -2 and AP -1 running around as well. Yeah. So okay. So this is a good ability.
That's cool. And and this is good for shooting and combat as well. Not that Custodes are doing a ton of shooting, but hey, they're little bolters, man. Yeah, putting those at AP another -1 there sounds pretty good. Now this is the one they also reroll charge rolls because they are upset and they want to get in combat. Again, this is both dice. If you recall, just remember that it's both dice.
There is a good little rule in the Codex too, because a lot of stuff will grant reroll charges. So there's a rule that says, if you already have reroll charges, if you get another reroll charge, it just adds an inch.
Oh, that's actually amazing.
Yeah.
So their favorite martial kata is one of the ones we chatted about earlier. It's Dakitari. It's really intended for fighting hordes of enemies. Stance 1 is -2 inches from the pylon and consolidate, which is great against everybody except for Space Wolves. And to be perfectly honest, even against Space Wolves, that's got to be vexing. And they get a +1 attack if they set their damage characteristic to 1, which once again, with all of this damage reduction out there, that's actually not so bad.
Yeah, and it's optional too, which is great.
Right.
It's only ever a bonus. Yeah.
Right. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. So their specific stratagem is the golden light of the Morades. So this represents the kind of teleporting room that they have on these 3 cruisers. So essentially they have this wide open area. It's kind of like a runway, and they have the teleporter on the far end of this runway, and the Custodes just run towards it with their swords up, and they teleport as they're running, and when they teleport onto the battlefield, they come running out, stabbing people.
Nice. Yeah, they're at a full sprint.
I want to know what happens when the servitor working those controls has a bad day, and they accidentally the exit point is it's kind of like when the coyote paints a tunnel on the wall and he runs into
a brick wall.
So I think that this is the most comedic of the specific stratagems. It's 2 CP. So lots of custodes already have Deep Strike, and even custodes that don't have Deep Strike can get it for just 1 CP pre-game stratagem. So pretty much everything can Deep Strike, and it stops units from getting Overwatch, and they can't set to defend.
Yep. And they're -1 to be hit.
Yeah, and they're -1 to be hit. Yeah, so I think that this is a real good one, especially with Tau coming out now. It's going to be nice to be able to deny the Overwatch, especially if you're already getting a reroll charge when you're deep striking and everything like that. So the next thing, their specific warlord trait is called the All-Seeing Annihilator. It's supposed to represent their intelligence network, giving them information. But it's, as with a lot of these warlord traits and stratagems that represent intelligence networks, it's kind of banal. They during the command phase, the warlord can pass out a buff to add an additional hit roll of 6. Additional hit on a roll of a 6. Now, the cool thing is it's a pass out. So the custode character themselves, they can get the additional hits on 6s, or they can give it to a unit nearby. So it's not something that's like a once per game ability. It's every turn the character passes out this ability. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. I think you're going to see it a lot on a Blade Champ. Because it also applies to shooting. The old version of this from 8th didn't apply to shooting. It was melee only. So you're going to see it on a Blade Champ because if, he gets so many attacks and so many good attacks, exploding 6s on him are crazy. But the problem with the Blade Champ is always going to be, you got to get him there first. So can he be good at something? Can he add something to the army before he actually gets stuck in? And this is really great for that because you can pass it off to something that's either already in combat or pass it off to something that's shooting. I mean, you can pass it off to jet bikes. You can pass it off to a dreadnought, Right. So.
Oh, jet bikes. That'd be really good. Fly a unit of jet bikes within 9 inches and exploding 6s with an additional -1 AP.
Yeah.
This sounds pretty great.
Pretty good.
The shield host specific relic is the Admona Mortis. It's a super judgy axe by the name Admona Mortis. So it's admonishing you with its stabbing. Lets you know you've been very bold, and replaces the Castellan's axe. It's a 2 damage bolter and a 3 damage axe, which is pretty good. I'm not sure. I usually like shenanigans relics more than I like stabby relics, but that's fine. So those are the shield hosts we picked to emulate all the rest of our picks from, as we usually do. We're kind of going for a theme in our picks, and not actually going over every single thing in the Codex. So we're going to go over what non-host specific stratagem we thought went well with this, just to kind of highlight some of the stratagems that are in the book. Thom, what did you pick? So
I picked, again, the you get to have no fun stratagem. I picked the Emperor's Auspice, which is a holdover, which is a carryover from 8th, but is still absolutely my favorite. And it says, choose a unit, any unit, including vehicles, targeted with an attack. Hit rolls, wound rolls, and damage rolls cannot be re-rolled for attacks targeting that unit until the end of the phase.
Ooh.
So no melter re-rolls, no hit re-rolls, no wound re-rolls. You get nothing. Good day. That's all you get.
Good day, sir.
And my favorite, apologies. My favorite thing that you can do with this is you can actually put it on an Ares, which is that massive 450 point gunship that if I ever get this entire army painted, I will be buying as the centerpiece. But you're going to see it a ton because it's 1 CP for 1 to 3 model units and 2 CP for 4+. So you need to wipe out this bike unit. Now, good luck, because all of your fancy rerolls are now gone. So
that rules. That's great.
And it also applies to command rolls. You don't get that either.
Yeah. Chapter Master is so angry.
Is so mad.
He's so angry about that. Jason, what'd you pick?
So hold on real quick. I started looking over the Shadowkeepers wiki while we're going over this, because now I'm fascinated, and Yeah, mistakes were made.
I can hear that army starting in your head, man.
Well, it's in here because I remember seeing this or reading about them before, and I couldn't remember where. Oh, they showed up on Prospero during the Horse Heresy Inferno. And I was like, oh, okay. So in the paint scheme, I think I could actually do that scheme. Like, I think I've done something similar. So now it comes down to how much do I hate myself? And as long-time listeners know, it's a considerable amount. So
it really is.
I need to sit down and think about whether I want to do this or not. But, whatever. Okay. I chose... Okay. I didn't really know what exactly... I mean, we always go with the themes and the narratives and whatnot. And I went with Earning of a Name, because I think like the first time I ever read about the Custodes was about the... what is that rite where they like break into the Imperial Palace the entire time? Like there's just always one trying to break in to try and test the defenses. And
of the Blade Games?
Yeah, like was that in The Emperor's Gift? I'm trying to remember the book.
I don't know.
There was an example of that in Emperor's Legion.
Okay. I just remember reading about it years ago and thinking, that is cool. And then, in the Alfarius book, the Primarch book, it kind of talks about that too. So anyways, I went with Earning of a Name. So use the strat when an enemy character unit is destroyed as a result of a melee attack made by an Adeptus Custodes character. And then you'll resolve one of the following. You'll either select one trait of a shield host fighting style that the unit does not have. And until the end of the battle, that unit gains that trait.
Ooh.
Or you can select one stance of one martial kata. Until the end of the battle, that unit always benefits from that stance. This stratagem
it's crazy, yeah.
Wow.
So it's hard to trigger, but if you trigger it, it's nonsense.
Yeah. All right, so this stratagem cannot be used in a Crusade battle. If you're going to go through and do Crusade, that's there's an Earning of a Name requisition instead, which I chose later. But I kind of really like this one. Yeah.
That's a great one. That's a good, like, shenanigansy, like, flavorful one, Jason.
Yeah,
that's
that plus
cool.
it's... I mean, they're supposed to, like, what is it? They have these very long names, and every time they do something of importance, they go through and add a different a name at the end.
Yeah, and it's all inscribed on the inside of their armor, yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, one of the more bizarre versions of graffiti, I guess. All right, what about you, Adam?
So, I cheated, which we sometimes do. We cheat.
Yeah.
I couldn't choose between Fraternity of Heroes and Unleash the Lions. Fraternity of Heroes is kind of a banal one, but I think it's like not. I guess now it's kind of like everybody who's good at being angry gets this, but it lets them heroically intervene like a space wolf. So if a unit can't, it can, and if a unit already can, it can heroically intervene 6 inches.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But for this host, that is definitely something that they would have and do all the time. But Fraternity of Heroes, Unleash the Lions targets an Alaris Custodians unit, which Dreadhost likes to use a lot.
Yeah, those are the Terminators, yeah.
Yeah, and they have like 3 or 4 wounds or something.
Mm-hmm.
They have 4 wounds, yep.
4 wounds, so it lets them split that unit into individual models, lets them Voltron the unit out. So it can have up to 6 models. So you can have 6 individual objective secured models.
Yep. Fly
out and start murdering fools. Now they're not characters, but
you can target them.
Who cares?
Yeah, they're also T5 for
with 4 wounds, and it's like, so now you have to split your fire against 6 models instead of being able to target 1 unit.
Yeah.
Granted, this is a very expensive unit.
They're down to 60 points, but each one is like 3 PL. Yeah, it's
it's a lot, but still, that's pretty
so
sweet.
cool.
I could definitely see these guys saying, "All right, we're just deep struck in. Let's split up and take care of business on our own."
Oh,
and I
they
think
can do actions too. It's so vicious.
Oh, that's true. Actions didn't even occur to me. Having 1 jerk hiding behind. I mean, this isn't very custodian behavior, but one jerk hiding behind a ruin doing like raised banners or like.
Well, that's not very Dreadhost behavior. That's pretty Shadowkeeper's behavior.
Yeah, it certainly is. So, yeah, I love it. Again, that would make it really easy to heroically intervene. If you use the other stratagem, it would also make it really easy to charge with just one model, because sometimes it can be hard to get a charge in against someone hiding. So if you just have one model to sneak through, it might be.
Yeah, the other nasty thing you can do is you can apply a stratagem to the unit. Mm-hmm. Like maybe, I don't know the precise legality of this, but you can say like, okay, you're going to be in this kata, and then you split them. So the stratagem applies to. It's so mean.
Oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay. Well, that sounds fun, and I thought it was pretty flavorful for this host, but I certainly could see every sub-faction using that to some degree. So let's talk about the Captain Commander abilities. Let's talk about this for a second. So there are different Captain Commander models that have been released, and each one is a little different, and each one has its own kind of sub-name. And it really doesn't, there aren't a whole lot of rules in the book that let you know about this until you get to this portion of the book. And it's kind of like the Space Marine specific captain roles. Like, you see you have the Devastator company, and they have the Master of Ordnance. So this is kind of like that. And you apply it, and it's 1 power level or 10 to 25 points for each whenever you assign this role to the shield captain. And again, as Thom was saying, you can only have 1 shield captain per detachment, correct?
One of each type. So there's 3 types. You can basically, they have their own custodian specific names, but bike captain, Terminator captain, regular captain.
Okay. So in this case, we each picked one. Thom, which one did you pick?
So this is gonna feed into, I keep teasing this, is gonna feed into this crazy unit that I'll talk about when we get to Relics. But I picked Unstoppable Destroyer. First off, fantastic name. And this is for Alaris, for a Terminator captain. And what it does, it's 10 points. And each time this model piles in or consolidates, it can move an additional inch. Each time this model makes a pile-in or heroic intervention move, it can move in any direction and can do so even if it's already touching, even if it's already based to an enemy model, so long as it finishes within engagement range of an enemy unit. So it can be in heroic intervention range of a charge and then go somewhere else and get an engagement range. So it's really good for 10 points.
Yeah, that's really good on the Dakitari, so I can imagine it's really good with a custode.
Yeah.
All right, Jason, what'd you pick?
I chose Ceaseless Hunter, and this model is eligible to declare a charge in a turn which it fell back. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, and that's on a bike captain, right?
Virtus Shield?
Yeah, Virtus. That's the bike captain.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is on a jet bike cap. Yeah.
Is that what that is? So I couldn't find... I was looking and hunting for what... So mine only works for Virtus Shield Captain as well. So I think that for
Virtus is the bike one, and Guardian is the regular foot one who's not a Terminator.
Oh, okay. So
this
the
is
Dread
essentially
Host,
the old white scars.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
So the Dread Host, I personally was going to pick Unstoppable Destroyer for that because I think that makes the most sense for Dread Host. But also Fierce Conqueror is really good as well, I think. This allows that one super elite character to have a little bit more play against a larger unit of models. So after piling in, they get +2 attacks if they're within 2 inches of 6 or more models. First of all, so they fly in and they charge, and they get an extra 2 attacks against a bigger unit of models or a couple units of models. They're also allowed to fall back and charge.
No, I think you got all 3 at once.
Oh.
Yeah, so So Fierce
I'm a little
Conqueror
confused about how this book is laid out when it comes to these. So
you
only get to pick one of these abilities?
Yeah, you only get to pick one of these abilities. So it's kind of like the upgrade, like the artifacts for Black Templars or the weapon upgrades for Death Guard. So yeah, you get to pick. So let's say you have a Jetbike Captain. You get to pick Fierce Conqueror or Ceaseless Hunter or Tip of the Spear.
Okay. I'm a little bit confused about how it's laid out, but
yeah, so you get to pick one of those bullets. So like Jason took Ceaseless Hunter, which is the fallback in charge.
Okay. All right. I'll have a look at the I think I must have been asleep or something, because I only saw one heading for Fierce Conqueror and it had 3 bullets under it.
Yeah,
maybe I'm wrong.
I'm looking at the Codex right now. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, my potato camera tried to trick me.
Yeah, there you go.
So, anyways, the +2 attacks within 2 inches is pretty good.
Yeah, because Custodians are going to suffer, in places where D2 weaponry doesn't do anything.
Right. Right. Okay. So, Warlord traits. What Warlord trait besides the Warlord specific or the Shield Host specific one do you think you'd pick, Thom?
So I branched out a little bit here because I do want to give a little bit more coverage to Sisters of Silence, and I picked Silent Judge. First off, Silent Judge, it's extremely Sisters of Silence. They're silent, they're judging, and it's also a really fun, I can imagine like having a Crusade force and kind of having a little Sisters of Silence auxiliary with a they're called Knight Centauras, are the Sisters of Silence captains. So it's a Warlord trait. You put it on a Knight Centaura. Knight Centaura is 3 PL, 55 points, so very affordable. And while an enemy unit is within 3 inches of this character, that unit loses objective secure. So,
okay.
Yeah, you just, you kind of sneak them in with the rest of your units, and then all of a sudden they're standing on an objective, and you have it. There's very little that they can do. It also gives them -1 to combat attrition, which is nice, but so much of the armies in this game ignore combat attrition modifiers that it's just kind of gravy.
Oh, that is so cool. I love removing objective secured. So great. Then your one character is just
yeah, it's like
I
this
stole your
is
objective.
mine.
Yeah, I get that. That's so cool. I love it. All right.
I chose Radiant Mantle.
Okay.
Each time an attack is made against this warlord, subtract 1 from that attack's hit roll. So
love it.
Yeah, I'm really kind of enjoying the traits and the relics and everything that basically say, yeah, you don't get to make all those attacks.
Yeah.
Or which I think works better when you're trying to have this super elite unit rather than doing other shenanigans. I think this is a better way to write that rule.
And this is a good trait for the you're not allowed to have fun Shield Host.
Oh, it's very Shadowkeepers,
yeah. Oh, I figured out the Shadowkeepers theme song.
Oh, really?
My own personal emperor.
Oh, and that guitar line too on that too. Yeah.
I mean, Aquilon Shield just has to be "And I Will Always Love You" because it's from Bodyguard, right?
Yes.
But the Whitney version, where you actually get that log,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he just teleports in and starts hitting that note.
Yeah.
Dreadhost has to be some trash metal, like.
Oh, it's got to
be
new
metal from like the late 90s, early 2000s. Like, give me something to break. Give me something to break. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
100%.
Okay, anyways.
Those are the bros of the Custodians.
They really are. Their heads are made entirely of meat, but, I mean, everyone's is, but you get the idea.
Precisely gene-engineered meat, to be sure.
Yeah.
They are non-GMO, or they are super GMO.
Super GMO meat.
Very GMO. So Where are we? Oh, non-host specific relics. All right, what would you pick, Tom?
Okay, so here's where I get to talk about my guy.
Here we go.
All right.
So my chosen relic is the Praetorian Plate. It applies to Terminators, Alaris only. Gives +1 toughness, which, cool. So now he's like T6, 8 wounds. But here we go. Once per battle, in the heroic intervention step, if the bearer is not within engagement range, it can perform a teleport shunt. Remove the bearer from the battlefield and set it up within 3 inches of a friendly unit and within engagement range of an enemy unit.
Whoa.
So you pick him up and you just put him somewhere in a combat. And
I am imagining the scene from This Is the End right now where the one character and I straight up with the and I will always love you. Yes. He's there for him.
So great. You just Whitney Houston just boom. So this leads to, and this has been covered in other places, but this absolutely insane build that I like to call the Praetorsaurus, because it's a Praetorian Alaris, so whatever. And, yeah, exactly. And it is so it's an Alaris captain with Praetorian Plate, 2 Warlord Traits, which you actually haven't covered yet, Superior Creation, which is a 5-up Feel No Pain, and Impregnable Mind, which gives you a deny and also allows you to count as 2 more models for the purpose of securing objectives.
Wow.
And you give him Unstoppable Destroyer, so when he teleports in and then when he piles in, he can go 4 inches somewhere else.
Yeah.
And so basically all of your units have this insane 7-inch threat bubble around them where the captain could just hop in and then go and wreck something that's not even in combat. And it ends up with T6, 8 wounds, 2 up, 4 up invuln, 5 up Feel No Pain, with 6 strength 8 AP -2 attacks that can just teleport wherever it wants, or it can just wander off onto an objective and just suddenly take it. And the coolest thing, as if this was, I'm really excited about this in case you can't tell, is that the current wording says if you teleport shunt him into an engagement range with something that just charged, the charging unit can't attack the captain, because the captain does not count as heroically intervening. And there's some debate about this, but especially from Aquila and Shield, it's just such a cool flavor where you imagine oh my God, this guy's about to murder me, I'm about to die. And then all of a sudden this massive Terminator captain just poofs right in front of him and just starts messing stuff up. And yeah, I love this dude. I have a special model set aside for him. I gave him a custom gate helm. I'm going to paint him up in runic steel. He's going to be the shiniest bastard in my entire army. And I'm just absolutely in love with this dude. So yeah, this is, and I also think in addition to it being flavorful, it is OP as hell. You're going to see this. You're going to see this a lot, especially if they don't change that rule and allow charging units to target them. So yeah, that's my relic.
That's amazing.
Not excited about it at all.
It reminds me of my old World of Warcraft days where you have I used to play a warrior tank sometimes, and just every once in a while you just charge, you're fighting something, and then one of your buddies would be getting his butt kicked, and you just charge right over there, go bah, 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 and then charge right back, and they'll follow you away. Yeah. It's pretty funny.
All while singing "I Will Always Love You." Okay.
Well, cool. Yes,
of course.
Absolutely.
Whitney Houston, Praetorsaurus.
Yeah, there we go.
Jason, what'd you pick?
Wow, I didn't pick one anywhere near as fun. Okay, so I picked the Castellan's Mark, which is a Paladin. At the start of the first battle round, you can select up to 2 friendly shield host units. Remove those units from the battlefield and set them up anywhere on the battlefield that is wholly within your deployment zone. It reminds me of the Cult of Duplicity and their Master Misinformator Warlord trait.
Oh, yeah, that's sneaky. And
you can also put them in strategic reserves.
That too.
Yeah,
that had a
can also be really sneaky.
Yeah, there was I think this is the one that had this is one of the rules that I picked up. There's just had a paragraph or 2 or 3 underneath of all the other stuff. I'm I'm not writing that. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, some of these things, to get people to stop to not jank them, they have to be 8 paragraphs long.
Yeah.
What we meant.
I keep seeming to go for those. It's just ooh, how can I break this?
the Starfleet Battles has two rule books. One is the rule book. The other one is the rule book for jerks. So the regular rule book is the one everybody uses to just look up the rules and play the game. The other rule book is where every single detail is spelled out for people who are trying to break the rules. Well, 40K kind of needs that. They need just a book for normal people, and then a book for all the other, like a tome of, like,
isn't that what
explaining why
rules like magic?
Explain the intent in this rule book, when everybody actually knows the intent in the actual rule book. Anyways, the one I picked because it seemed like a mini version of the Sensorum Eagle statues on their Bastion and Terra. So it's the eagle's eye. It's a helm that has sensor eagles on it, and it warns the bearer of incoming attacks. So the way it's described, it's like, it makes me think like if someone's coming at you, it goes, look out! To your left.
Like a little, hey, listen.
Yeah. What if you're the okay, I'm trying to do an Iago impression and it's not working. So anyways, it gives you +1 wound, and once per game, it can have a 3-up invulnerable save for one phase. So
we went from everything having a 3-up all the time to one model can have a 3-up once, and you can't put this on a bike captain.
Yeah. So that looks real good. Okay, so we've done our kind of breakdown the way we do, our like thematic breakdown of the Codex. So what we're going to do is we're going to take another break. We're going to drink some water, and we're going to come back and talk about the Crusade rules.
Come here, boy. Get the ball. Aw, come on, Max. Get the ball. Mom, Max won't get the ball. He's lazy.
I think I know why your Zote is being lazy, Jenny.
Why, Mom?
Because you forgot to feed him Zotobix today.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. Zotobix contains all the nutrients and random animal parts a growing Zote craves. It not only provides our Zote with the energy it needs to play with you and protect our home, but it also keeps its chitinous shell fresh and shiny.
Oh, boy. I'd better feed Max his Zotobix.
Yes, you had.
Zotobix is made in part from grade
Max,
A
time for
Astra
dinner.
Militarum post-engagement byproduct and is infused with 112 essential vitamins and
Max,
minerals
down.
harvested from your Zote's natural habitat, the finest desert deathworms.
Ah!
Zotobix is available in any shopping center on worlds where Zotes are allowed or where the Imperium's inexorable influence has not yet reached.
Hey Archons, does 9th edition have you feeling like the Slith Party Bus just doesn't have enough party for you? Well, if you want to put a little shock back into your shock brow, you need the Slith Party On! That's right, Archons, for 736 points you can take 3 Archons, 12 Slith, and a Tantalus. It's the Slith Party On! Now I know what you're thinking. Couldn't I take Drazar, 15 Incubi and a Tantalus, aka the Incubi Murder Boat, for 51 less points? Sure you could, but it wouldn't be the Slith Party On! But is it legal? Oh yeah! Is it awesome? Oh yeah! Is it any good on the table? No! It's the all-new Slith Party On. Sort of awesome. Party On! Really hilarious. Party On! It's the Slith Party On!
And we're back. We have been joined by Sunny Days. Say hi, Sunny Days. Okay, he's not going to say hi. Custodes, the Custodes special, like, army-wide crusade thing is the Magisterium Lex Ultima, which are basically quests. So it's very similar to, in theme, it's very similar to the Sisters of Battle. They go on endeavors. Each endeavor needs to have 3 imperatives associated with it before the endeavor can be completed. So each imperative must be completed one at a time in the order you pick them. It's very much like your katas. So that represents a rigid plan, because the plan that you set forth was clearly perfect. So why would you
by the Emperor? So
why would you change the plan? Yeah, exactly. Why would you mess up something that your own personal Emperor? He's someone who cares.
Clearly,
your own personal Emperor.
Yeah. So once you've completed the endeavor, you can select an endeavor reward associated with one of the imperatives you completed. So some rewards are instant and others are persistent. So instant is like increase something by something, like an experience points or requisition points or something like that. Persistent rewards can be selected to be used during your game. So you put it on your army's sheet and you write it down as one of the rewards that you've won. You can use it during your Crusade games, but you can only select one of them at a time per game, and you increase your Crusade points by 1 when you're using it. Okay, just like anything else, they're trying to at least have some semblance of balance in Crusade, and that's how they do it with the Crusade points. So we each picked an imperative to talk about, but remember, each endeavor is gonna have 3 imperatives. So we're kind of simulating one endeavor here by each picking one imperative. So what's the first imperative that this fictional Crusade force is going to have to complete, Tom?
That imperative is Guardians of the Throne and His Realm, which requires that at the end of a battle, you control 3 or more objective markers and control at least double the number of objective markers than your opponent. I'm not sure how this is going to apply in multiplayer Crusade battles, but whatever you want.
Well, in multiplayer games, if you control 3, you definitely control more.
You probably control double, yeah.
I might reduce that to 2.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be fair.
Yeah. And then the Endeavor reward, kind of going with my same, you get to have no fun theme. Once per battle, you can use the Arcane Genetic Alchemy, which is the transhuman physiology strat, or Emperor's Auspice, which is the no you get no reroll strat without spending CP.
Whoa!
And this is even better because generally, because of the way the stratagems work and because of the way the cost works, you're really incentivized to use minimum sized units to make those stratagems cost 1 CP. But here, you got a 10-man unit of Shield Guard, you got a 6-man unit of bikes, for free. Not 2 CP, not 1 CP, but free.
That's awesome. I love it. That's a good one. Jason, what'd you pick for the Depeche Mode Marines?
The Depeche You're not wrong. Shadow Directive. Complete 2 battles in which you earned experience points from the Bound for the Dark Cells agenda or Shadow Operations agendas.
I mean, yeah I guess that works.
Yeah. Endeavor reward. You gain 1 requisition point, and the unit from your army that earned the most experience points from the Bound for the Dark Cells or Shadow Operations agendas, the battles in which you completed this imperative. That's a lot of words. It gains 5 experience points.
Wow, that's a lot of experience points. You're going to have to make note of that during the games. Another bookkeeping thing. But hey, if you're playing Crusade, you're already all in on bookkeeping, so you're fine.
Well, if you're doing Crusade with Custodes, it's not like you have to sit there and think, oh man, I've got 20 units. No, it's like 10 dudes,
You
the
got a really good
personalization is a little bit different. Yeah.
You got a really good point.
Yeah, I think a 50 PL Crusade force for Custodes, I think I made a couple, and there was 12 dudes, 13 dudes. It ain't much.
So the imperative I picked was Wrath of the Emperor, which is definitely the give me something to break one. 2 battles where you earned XP from the Judgment Delivered agenda, which I think we either already talked about or will talk about, or the No Mercy. Oh yeah, it's the one you picked, Thom. The Judgment Delivered agenda, or the No Mercy, No Respite agenda from the core rulebook. Basically killing people. The Endeavor reward is every unit in your Crusade force gets +1 XP. I think that one's pretty neat.
That's pretty good, yeah.
That's pretty neat. So here's the thing. I think you're intended to actually roll your
can I actually talk about this for a little bit?
Yeah, go for it.
Because here is where this was the only knock I have on this entire book is the way that they made this weird and random, which really feels contrary to the Custodes flavor because they're so deliberate.
Mm-hmm.
So the way that it works is, okay, you're declaring, Magisterium, Lex Ultima, great. You then roll for your imperatives, and then those are the imperatives you have to do in that order. And then actually, the way the book is written, and I don't think people who are playing Crusade should do this, your reward is just determined by the last imperative you completed.
Oh, it's the last one?
Which is, come on.
Yeah.
And I guess and this is where, the flexibility you get in Crusade is really good because you can say, well, no, this is nonsense, and we're going to do it the right way. And the other issue is that there are some imperatives that are very, very psyker focused.
Uh-huh.
And if you're just in Crusade and you're like, well, all my friends, all the people I'm with are playing, Drukari and Tau and Black Templars. It's like, well, I guess I just don't get to complete my imperative.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that when I do this, and I'm definitely really excited to do this in a Crusade force, this is one of those things where if you're in tune with the flavor and not just trying to power game the system, I would really encourage you to pick each of these, or at least if you get one that seems silly, just re-roll. And definitely in terms of picking the rewards, I like the way you said it, which is just, okay, so if you complete 3 imperatives, you get to pick one,
right,
and you really decide what the flavor is,
Yeah, I could see a few variations on this because I also don't like that it's the last one and it's totally random.
Yeah.
I totally missed that. Thank you. I think maybe pick the end goal of the quest. Mm-hmm. So you pick the last one and maybe randomize the first 2.
Yeah, I really like that because who knows what you're going to encounter on your ultimate goal, right? Yeah.
Right. I love the uncertainty, but also I like it when a player has agency. Now they did give you some agency, and you're allowed to abandon the. You're allowed to abandon the endeavor, which might rankle. I can see it rankling. I'm not gonna knock anybody for this rankling them abandoning an endeavor. But these aren't Space Marines. They're not overly concerned with honor.
Yeah, they're extremely pragmatic, which I really like.
Exactly. They're not like Space Wolves or was it Talons? What are the Red Talons are the ones that do. We talked about them in our second founding, the last second founding episode we did on Ultramarines, but they're not like that. They're not super into these keeping oaths, so it's not that big a deal. So the dishonors are cool. You I'll just read through them because there's only 3 of them and they're easy to read. When you abandon your quest, you roll a dice, and on a 1 through 3, on a 1 command in question, your shield captain gains the battle scars honor blemished, they lose inspirational fighter, and their reroll hits and wounds of 1. And they get the loss of reputation. They reduce their aura abilities by 3 inches. Now, there's something really cool about the about this is they don't lose reroll hit rolls of 1. They get reroll hit and wound rolls of 1. So it's a battle scar.
The battle scars here.
The battle scars in this book give you a negative and a bonus.
Yeah.
Because you're angry.
Yeah. Well, and also the thing about Custodians in the lore is that they're used to taking L's. They hate it and they're bad at it, but they got stomped in the War in the Webway.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no two ways about it. And like, so much of the Custodes lore is like, okay, we're perfect, but man, we got our asses kicked.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to keep going. We can't just like, lay down and die or like mope around like Space Marines. They're like, no, we're only 10,000 of us. We got to keep it moving.
Yeah. No, that's great. 2 is Order of Atonement. Have the XP earned for number of battles equal to the number of imperatives you failed. So if you just immediately cancel the endeavor, you'll have 3 battles where you earn no XP, including the one you just played. Then 3, petition the Tower of Hegemon. Requisition points go to 0, and you cannot gain the +1 RP for playing a battle for a number of battles equal to the number of imperatives you failed.
Ouch.
So some of these are pretty bad, but not totally army breaking. But at the same time, I still think more player agency in what quest they're going on would be better. In fact, I think maybe if you are being fair, and your opponent, especially if it's just you and a buddy.
Yeah.
If it's just you and a buddy and you're already tailoring your lists for each other's forces, then there's no reason to go ahead and just work together to figure out what your quest is. Not just you yourself. Work with your buddy to see what kind of quest and what kind of campaign, because this kind of thing could inform what kind of campaign you're going to be playing too. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think it's definitely an opportunity for improvement. I agree with you there. So let's move on to requisitions. Tom, what did you pick?
I picked Artifact of the Vaults, not Artifact. Artifact. With two E's.
It's not artifact. It's artifact.
Artifact.
Artifacts. Very great. I love
and
English.
This is 1 requisition point. You pick an Artifact of the Vaults, which is different than a Crusade relic. Only if you are on an Endeavor. Only if you've declared Magisterium Lex Ultima. Or you can replace 1 relic without spending any RP. So basically, you can swap out a relic.
That's cool.
And I really like this because it really does highlight the pragmatism and the flexibility of Custodes and in the lore. And when we get to the Artifact of the Vault, when I first read it, I was kind of, these are the super secret, dangerous things in the Vaults of the Emperor, and I was a little, not quite disappointed, but a little confused. And then I realized that, like, no, this is like tech cards. This is like sideboards. This is, they dig into the vaults for the weird stuff that they're like, oh, we're on Crusade against a bunch of psychers. We're going to need this thing.
Anti-psyker thing for this Crusade.
We're on Crusade against a bunch of like sneaky teleporters. So we need the other one. So so I think they really actually did a great job with it. So yeah, that's the requisition I picked.
I like that. And I think we couldn't talk about this whole Crusade section without talking about Artifact of the Vault. So I'm glad you brought it up because when you're on a Endeavor, you can pick one of these artifacts to use temporarily. It's on
you
loan.
have to give it back.
You have to give it back at the end of the Endeavor. It's pretty great. I love it.
So cool.
And and the sideboard, that's what it's like. It's like a sideboard, which is cool. Jason, this one harkens back to one of your earlier picks.
Yeah, the Stratagem. So I decided to go ahead and take the requisition also to see how does it work in Crusade. So earning of a name. Pick this requisition after a battle in which an enemy character unit was destroyed by an Adeptus Custodes character unit from your army of battle-hardened rank or higher. And battle-hardened is the first rank, right?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, I don't either. So
I think it's first rank, yeah.
All right. So, determine an additional name from page 85 for that character unit, then select one of the following earn names effects for it. So you can either select one stance of a martial kata or kata. That unit always benefits from that stance. Or you can select one trait of a shield host fighting style unit that unit cannot currently have. So each time that unit gains its shield host fighting style for a battle, it also gains that trait. The interesting thing about this is because I was kind of wondering what would happen here. Each time you use this requisition on a unit, the new name replaces any previously selected earned name effect. So you could go through and keep like adding names to someone, but you're not going to keep adding on strats. Yeah. You're not going to stack this into some sort of Monty Hall super character that solos an entire,
right.
Whatever.
Battle Hardened is 16 experience or higher, so it's the second level.
Okay. Ooh, okay.
I was a little bit sad about this, to be honest. Like, I understand the balance considerations, but like, isn't the custodian captain, being about that one guy who will face down 1,000 orcs and like mess them all up?
Right.
Is that
I get why they did it. They had to do it, but I also, this does give you the great opportunity of like when you're introducing your force, you just like, because you have to give the guy an extra name every time you do this. So you get to just say the name of your shield captain.
Yeah.
It's like the Necron one, which was like, my guy is the unearther of lost truths and
So every time your shield captain does this, go ahead and mail me your shield captain and I'll help write his name on the base rim if that's not something you're interested in doing. I'm willing to volunteer my time for that. I'm gonna need an extra base. Start gluing bases on bases.
Yeah, it's gonna
just for his name.
Family cut type thing where you just have they just keep adding rings.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's fantastic. So I definitely scrolled too far. There we go. I picked Captain Commander. In Crusade, you need a requisition to create a special Captain Commander. That's why I picked it. I figured it was important to note that the super cool special Captain Commander abilities are just like in any other Crusade force. Any of those earned upgrades must be earned through gameplay. All right, Artifacts of the Vaults. These are the loner relics. Thom, which loner relic did you pick? Would you like to pay for the extra insurance?
Yeah, I would.
One time we got my cousin Brad and I got a U-Haul, and it was this beat up old freaking wreck of a box truck, and they give you the sheet and you're supposed to put where the damage is on the sheet, and he circled the truck. He literally circled the whole truck. It was great. Anyways, which I love the one you picked, by the way.
Yeah, I went with what in my mind was the funniest one, and I think I am going to read the whole lore section in a really pretentious voice.
No, please do.
I picked the Amelioration Pail, which I am calling the Make Better Bucket, because that's what that means.
What it means, yeah.
Within this gilded vessel lies an essence that exists on no record, a life-giving liquid of rejuvenation for which there is no known source. Each drop consumed is a symbol of the slow decay of the Imperium. Thus those that sip from the Amelioration Pail do so with the knowledge that, while their body heals, their master's realm dwindles. And I'm just picturing that in a stasis field, there's like one of those big, like 20-gallon buckets of Gatorade.
Yes, like at the end of the Indomitus Crusade, freaking like the Captain Commander is gonna get it splashed all over his face. Like, oh god, I'm seeing all our failures right now, all at once. Why would you do that?
I just can't imagine. Like, I want to be like on the team behind this, which was like, all right, we need something. It needs to be like healing, and I'm like, all right, so we're gonna make a bucket. No. It's the Amelioration Pail. It's just like I'm losing my mind.
I feel like this must be an in-joke that we.
It has to be.
Absolutely.
Oh my god! So what it does, sure, whatever. Once per battle in the command phase, the bearer can regain D6 lost wounds. Who cares? But like, can I get, or maybe like a little mini like Home Depot bucket for like the scale, and just like dangle it off the back of the bike?
You can dollhouse parts.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I got a model to make better bucket.
I actually have a few pans, some dollhouse pans that my sister gave me. She thought I could use them. I'm like, Yes, I can. I actually have an orc chef.
Nice.
And I put orc spikes on the pan, and he beats people. Anyways,
so yeah, that's the butter bucket.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Jason, what much less impressive artifact did you pick?
This one's good too.
Oh, I had to go for something that would amuse me. The Auriferous Orb. Mm-hmm. It's basically the Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch, but without, counting to 5 or any of that. So it is a grenade, one use only. If the hit roll is successful, the target suffers D3 mortal wounds and blinded until the start of your next turn. While the unit's blinded, each time it makes an attack, subtract 1 from that attack hit roll.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. I love it. I picked the Mortis Gyre, which I really should look that up for the description again, because I feel like this is like a toilet. Anyways, once per game, ignore invulnerable saves. That's pretty great.
You mean like the seat of the toilet? Like it's being worn as like a...
No, it's a gyre, so it's like a spinny, right? Like it spins.
Yeah, so it's like a constantly whirlpooling toilet bowl.
Yeah. Oh. I guess maybe it's like a snow globe.
Yeah,
it's got the Imperial Palace in it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I like this one because it's such a great example of like a sideboard card of like a tech piece, because you're like, oh, this is, who cares about some of this, but suddenly you're facing Mortarion and you're like, oh, well,
I guess I could ignore some invulnerable saves for a turn. Yeah, I figured this is good if you're doing a crusade against demons and various other things. Jason's army. So next, agendas. So agendas are, they're the meat and potatoes of Crusade play, kind of the secondary abilities or secondary objectives, but for your own personal goals. So, Thom, what did you pick?
I picked Judgment Delivered, which is if there are no enemy models on the battlefield at the end of the battle, each Custodes and Sisters of Silence unit in your army gains 3 experience points.
That is so awesome. You get extra XP for being a dick.
Oh yeah, and it's such a stunt. It's such a power move to just declare this agenda, just being like, yeah, no, I think I'll table you. I think I got it. It is so like style points and so excessive, and also it's going to be so funny. And it's going to lead to so many great moments where there's one Gretchen, or there's like one cultist hanging out in a ruin, and like all of the custodians are trying to find him and they can't. I love it.
In most cases, I say full communication with your opponent is important. But in this case, if the custodian's player has forgotten that Gretchen is hiding in that ruin, don't tell him.
Oh, no, you can't. Well, I'll be so mad if you tell them.
Oh wow, that's really fantastic. I love it. And why is that Custodes player always want to play combat patrol games?
Yeah, weird. Never wants to play Onslaught. It's weird.
All right, Jason, what'd you pick?
Okay, so I chose Bound for the Dark Souls.
Really?
It's part of that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it takes up over half the column of
it's
that
so long.
page.
No. And this goes with the choice you made for Endeavor,
the Shadow
Keepers.
Right?
It's very Shadow Keepers, yeah.
Okay. The gist of it is you select one objective to control and to lock for the game. If you control at the end of the battle, then one Custodes unit gains 2 experience points. If you control it and it is locked, which I'm still not, I would trying to read that.
You do an action.
Yeah, okay.
To lock it. Yep.
Then that unit gains 2 more experience. And if both actions occur, then your Warlord gains 2 experience.
So are you locking a unit in the objective, like an enemy unit?
Yeah.
No, you're locking the objective down. This is kind of like the Ghostbusters agenda, where you're trying to so you go to the place where the ghost is, and you get some points for that, but then you also, if you suck the ghost into your Shadow Keeper's trap, then you get more experience.
Okay. All right, that makes sense. It's an objective, and it could represent almost anything. But
whoever's a bad there, artifact or whatever,
or whoever's there is going into the dark cells. Got it. Okay,
it
cool.
took up a lot of room on that page.
Oh,
I was
it's
like,
so long.
Wow.
All right, cool. I picked Shed the Black. I expect a lot of custodes to join the Dreadhost endeavors in order to redeem themselves. Like they go on these crusades to, like they messed up and they have to make up for it. It gives you XP for increasing their combat tally and for increasing the combat tally by 3 or more, and if it's higher than anyone else's. If they earn 2 XP or more from the agenda, they can remove a battle scar. I love things that let you remove battle scars for something that isn't a requisition point, because I hate that. So
super flavorful too.
Yo, absolutely. Yeah, this is great. I love that. All right. Battle traits. What was your favorite battle trait?
My favorite was, in keeping with my love of all things jet bike, was Thundering Advance, which just flatly changes your 6-inch auto advance into a 10-inch auto advance.
Whoa.
Which, again, on top of the Callistus Kata, so you're looking at a 48-inch threat range for Meltas.
Wow.
Which, yeah.
You have a threat range equal to the firing range of a basilisk cannon.
Yeah, exactly. It's and these dudes fly, so it's just like get them basically wherever you want. And then if it's Solar Watch, because they get +1 to advance, then it's 11 inches. But yeah, so I really like that one.
With this, your army could make top tables at LVO, but only because it moves so fast. You can just move it from your table to their table.
I do have a funny competitive moment I want to jump in. John Lennon posted his Custodes list for LVO, and I was listening to your last episode about Rogue Trader stuff. He's running a unit of Voidsmen at Arms.
Oh,
he's running a minimum size unit of Voidsmen at Arms just to because they're 20 points cheaper. And I was just like, oh, I just heard about those guys.
But you know what? That makes so much sense just to dude, they're 2 power or
it's 40 points for the unit. Yep.
And there's no negative for taking it.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So he basically just gets to run like a little mini guard squad.
And
it just sits
really
on
nice.
homing objectives. It was so cool, but it was like Voidsmen at Arms. Well,
yeah,
nice job. All right,
why not? Yeah, I definitely consider that for your army because it's a great way to get a few extra bodies.
Oh yeah.
Let's see, Jason, what'd you pick?
Oh yeah, Unfazed and Undaunted. Once per battle round, you can reroll a single saving throw made for this unit.
Cool. No,
I figure since there's so very few models in the unit that you want to make sure and reroll anything that you gotta push wounds away. And
if your saving throw is a 2+, 1 reroll means a whole lot more than on a orc with a 6+ invuln save.
Yeah.
I picked Flawless Blade Work, 6s to hit auto wound.
Oh yeah.
Which again, same deal. If you have a limited number of models and a limited number of attack rolls, getting auto wounds is without not having to move on to that wound step is pretty nice.
Yeah. Well, especially now with Misericordias are free. So basically every model has that extra dagger attack now.
Yeah.
So that's even better there.
All right, Crusade relics. There's some cool ones in here. This being the Custodes book, it has a little more extensive Crusade relic section than some of the other books. Tom, which one did you like?
So we're going to, again, try to loop the Sisters of Silence in here because I think especially in a Crusade force, I feel like you're leaving something on the table if you don't at least put a few sisters in there. Yeah. So what I chose is an antiquity relic. So you need a Sisters of Silence Knight Centura, essentially of heroic rank or higher, and you get Veracity, the Sword of Oblivion.
That sounds awesome.
A great name.
Yeah.
And it replaces that giant 2-handed sword that the Knight Centuras carry with a strength 3, AP -5, which is impressive. D2, but it always wounds on a 2-up. Not just infantry, not non-monster, non-vehicles. This lady walks up to a Titan and wounds her on a 2-up. And it's it's so great. And it's like, this is what I love about Crusade is that like you could never put this in match play in competitive in a million years.
No.
But with Crusade, you're just like, yeah, I put all of this work into this Little Sisters of Silence character.
Yeah.
And now she's out here, jumping on Knight Castellans and stabbing them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love this relic, and
it's an antiquity relic, right?
Yeah,
I think antiquity relics are like +2 Crusade points or something.
Yeah, they're +2 Crusade points. Yeah, and I'm going to put this in every single Crusade force that I have. So
that rules. Jason?
I can just see that Sister of Silence jumping onto like the carapace of the knight and just beating it to death with her sword. I took and I'm not sure how to pronounce that second word.
Just pronounce it however you want, buddy. Go ahead.
The first one is Lucent though, but it's basically a halo that imparts a 3-up invul save.
You have it's a Lucent areola. Okay.
Okay.
With a 3-up, this sounds like it's a chest piece from a Son of Sanguinius.
Possibly, it could be Sanguinius's chest plate. Who knows?
Yeah, it's a Lucent areola.
This is how we went. We go from 3-up invulns all through the Codex to it being on a legendary relic, and that's it.
Yeah,
which is a good direction, to be honest.
Yeah. The Emperor's Light. It's a Misericordia. So the definition of that is mercy dagger. It's you're delivering the Emperor's mercy to somebody. It grants an extra attack. So this one is still just +1 attack, but it can be, so normally it's +1 attack and only 1 attack can be done with the Misericordia. I mean, it's a little shittier than most weapons anyways, but it can be used for 2 attacks instead, and it does a mortal wound instead of a regular wound, meaning that the AP -2 is kind of pointless, but it's kind of whatever. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's a cute little, it's just a little extra oomph on your character who's probably already awesome.
Yeah, and the thing to remember with these is, you can swap them out much more easily than you could in another Crusade force because of that Artifacts of the Vault requisition also lets you swap between relics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't forget, you can only have, I think it's 6 upgrades from 6 Crusade upgrades. Battle Honors, I think they're called. So it's really nice to be able to swap out your Crusade relics. All right, Battle Scars. I already talked about Honor Blemished, so I'm going to tap out of this one. But which one did you pick, Tom?
So I picked Atonement in Battle. So all of these are really like, you get worse at something, but you get better at something else, and they're all really flavorful. So this one makes it so the unit can only charge the closest enemy unit. So basically, they're getting a little Blood Angels-y in some ways. They're getting a little, can't think straight. They get the ability to make heroic interventions, but they have to heroically intervene if they can. And then they also get to reroll wound rolls of 1 in melee. So this is just like Custodes big mad because they lost. So I really like it.
That's cool. Jason?
I picked up Study the Martial Katas. So unit cannot have the objective secured ability. Each model in this unit counts as 1 model when determining control of an objective marker. And when a Martial Katas stance is active for your army, this unit treats both of that Katas stances as being active.
So they're super focused.
They got put in detention.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I love that the Battle Scars have a negative and a bonus. That's neat. It adds a little bit of flair to it. So that's the end of the Crusade section. Tom, are you in a Crusade group right now?
We are about to start one. My buddy is getting into Gene Stealer cults, so we're gonna probably be doing that. And then there's a couple other people who I have met through Discords that once the world gets a little more sane and I stop being covered in snow, I'm going to try and get a little more broadly involved. But I'm definitely going to do kind of an escalation style Crusade, Custodes versus Gene Stealer cults.
Nice.
Which is going to be great because both of these armies are tricky as hell, and it's going to take 5 hours for us to do a 1,000-point game because all of these rules are. It's a lot. They went from a pretty simple group to something really complicated. So yeah, that's what I'm going to get in.
Nice.
Hopefully the next month or so.
Crusade is great for learning your army because there's no time. I mean, I guess, you don't want to play all day, but like there's no time constraint. You can just you can relax, even though there's a bunch of extra Crusade rules to think about. You're still using all your basic rules and just getting in the motions, doing the repetitions and learning your army. It's really nice. I wanted to just quickly touch on, there is a mode of play for Custodes that's available in White Dwarf issue 466, which is the Torchbearer Crusade Force. So this is the kind of Crusade, this is the army, these are the battle groups that went out delivering Primaris Marines to the chapters.
Yeah.
Narratively, I mean, that's what, they have a whole system here for delivering those Astartes. You could conceivably just kind of ignore that part for your narrative and say, well, it's just these groups working together for a different reason, like call. So let me just quickly, it's everything becomes a torchbearer. You can have Adeptus Mechanicus, Adeptus Custodes, and Adeptus Astartes Primaris units with the Grey Shields chapter keyword. And the Grey Shields chapter keyword is +1 leadership for characters. And if they are selected to shoot or fight, you can reroll 1 hit roll when resolving that unit's attack. So it's not a very powerful chapter tactic. However, none of your abilities that require you to have army purity are lost.
Yep.
Nice.
So you get to keep all of your cool stuff and you play with all of your cool stuff. I could definitely see this being, I remember I read that Archmados Call book where they went out and fought the Necrons, something like that. You're looking for Crusade relics, that sort of thing. I think that would be really cool in addition to just doing a torchbearer force. Yeah. So go ahead and look at that. There's quite a bit in here, but it might be fun if you're the kind of person who you don't get to play a lot of Crusade and you want to use all your toys. That's a good one. If you want to do some Mechanicus with your Custodes or some Space Marines with your Custodes, and I think that would be a lot of fun. And I think technically you could still use Inquisitors with that. I'd have to look at the wording, but it's Crusade. Nobody cares anyways.
You should be able to.
You should be able to.
You can use Endeavors in a Torchbearer fleet because of the way the language works. All you need to do Magisterium Lex Ultima is you need a Shield Captain or Trajan.
Right, okay.
So you can actually dovetail all those things. Yeah.
Well, that would be amazing. Yeah, maybe look at the Mechanicus stuff too. It's possible you could do all those things and still enjoy your force. And I've always said, go ahead and mix your forces together for Crusade. Why not? Especially if you're playing way more games than your friends are. Oh, yeah. Maybe add a bunch of garbage jerks in there from a totally different army and use those when you're playing against your friends. It could still be the same Crusade force. It's just maybe some Astra Militarum or some other jerks in there who are working alongside them.
My favorite Torchbearer thing is like the Torchbearer fleet that's going to some horrible chapter and they don't want to tell them. They're like, oh, what chapter are we joining? Blood Angels, Dark Angels. Oh, you're joining the Lamenters. We're off to find the Carcharodons. Good luck.
Oh no. All right.
You're doing a very special chapter.
I think
to the Blood Ravens, make sure and count your fingers when you leave.
Yeah, right? Yeah, and like the only way they allow them in is if they've stolen something from the Torchbearer ship.
Stole like a servitor head.
Yeah. So, okay, now we move on to the most important part of our show.
Oh yeah.
Is the tradition of the rolling of your character's name which actually Wahapedia put the effort in of having on their site. So you know what, really? Wahapedia, you are now okay in my book. Now, it's only cool if other factions also have it, which I know the Orc Codex did not come with it, but it is in an older Orc Codex. So I'm going to look right now just to see how cool Wahapedia truly is, to see if they actually put the name generator in here as well. And they didn't. So little work to do. Go back and refill the rest of these books into your app, Wahapedia. Thank you. All right, who would like to go first? Tom, why don't you do? Do you want to do a custody or a Sister of Silence?
I want to do a custody, but I think we have to roll more than 2 names, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're right. Yeah. So since that is amazing. Since you are the most experienced, maybe we'll save you for last because yours has to be the longest.
All right.
I'll
roll one up for me. Yeah.
Okay, Jason.
Okay.
Go ahead and roll. Let's roll I'm going to roll a D3. That's how many names you get. 3. You have 3 names.
Okay. So, because I'm looking at the Wahapedia listing. So you have to roll a D6 to choose which column. So yes. First column, I rolled a 5. So I'm taking the second column. So this is for the first name. Blue is 15. So Desh.
Ooh, right. That's a very good first name. Like that's the name of some kid in the underhives of Terra.
Okay. Desh Dalat.
All right,
let's get that third name back in that column. Second column, 32. Desh Dalat Asayan.
Desh Dalat Asayan. Ooh, yeah. Asayan sounds like something bone related. Perhaps you earned that last name infiltrating the catacombs of a dead shrine, like a shrine world, or what do they call it? An ossuary world.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, I think you thwarted a chaos cult in the shrine world that they were hell bent on sending a death disease to Terra to poison the Emperor. Good job, dude.
Wow.
Good job.
There are a lot of names on here. 72.
Well, there have to be.
Yeah.
Right?
That's impressive.
All right, here's mine. I have 1 name. All right, so I'm going to explain why. Give me a second.
Column. Like Whitney or Dolly.
Yeah, right. Hi. 24. My name is Bastoris, and the reason why I haven't earned any additional names yet is because nobody likes me. Aww. Because they gave me the name Bastoris, most likely because nobody knows which gene vaults I came from, so they call me Bastoris, right? And so since I've earned the enmity of my peers, I haven't had the impetus to actually try as hard as I should. I actually prefer to stand and just watch the Emperor all day. It's fine. It's cool. I don't really have a lot of I don't have any motivation to leave Terra. I just hang out here. Blood games? No, thank you. No, thank you. I'm just gonna in fact, all the other custodes wait around until my shift before they attack the throne room because they know they can get past me.
Oh, wow, that's rough, man.
Thom is still busily figuring out what each deed his names are associated with.
Yeah,
and we're going to give him the time he needs to complete this task. It's very important.
Very good. I have actually been rolling continuously while you have been talking just to see how long of a name I could generate. So we're going to get on the last one here.
All right, here we go.
All right. So the background here is that my custodian is the gunner tryhard custodian that literally no one can stand. like whatever they're teaching the katas. He's in the front row. He's like raising his hand up constantly.
Actually, sir. Yeah. That was developed in late M24, not M25.
For those who have listened to this podcast through the whole way, definitely has no connection to my actual personality whatsoever in any way. I promise. No, that's all false. I'm sorry for correcting so many times. But the name of my gunner custodian is Yortar Bastoris Galamedian Uramides Pionoris Monastis Alhoris Thrust Ganestis Uriaxis Talorn Tassolian.
Whoa! That will not fit on a 40mm base.
No, that won't. You're gonna have to run
fantastic. A bunch of them. Well, you guys, let's take a quick break. We'll come back and close out the show.
Hello, everyone. The Masters of the Forge is now a proud member of the NPC, the Narrative Podcast Consortium. Our aim is to inspire your hobby through the rich lore of the 41st millennium. If you enjoy our podcast, then make sure to check out these other awesome shows, where you can get coverage on campaigns, Black Library, and all kinds of general topics of the 40K background.
The NGC 40K podcast also provides in-depth campaign coverage, audio dramas, and free-flowing narrative campaign creation.
The Adeptus Terra podcast also features in-depth discussions of the lore and commentary on the hobby.
Oh, and sexy English voices.
Oh, yeah.
The Masters of the Forge brings the world of 40K to life on your tabletop, with discussion on the lore, backed up by narrative-themed rules and battle reports.
Of course, this is only a fraction of the topics covered by the podcasts of the NPC. Please tune in to find out more.
Oh, we've reached level 6. Welcome back. Episode 183 of Masters of the Forge. 6 years of wonderful enjoyment. Thanks again to Thom, who showed up to talk about the Custodes with us. We couldn't have done it without you, at least not as well. I hope you don't die in the snow.
I'll do my best. Yeah, it's time to shovel here. But thanks for having me, guys. I could talk about this forever, and yeah, I will be hopping on your Discord shortly.
Good.
And once this is released, I look forward to people bashing me for my terrible opinions. I think the reason I'm on Discord, basically.
I think you had great opinions.
Yeah.
And
we're just going to refer to you as Thom.
I really appreciate how Jason agreed to edit out all the ums in this episode. Thank you, Jason.
All of them.
Yeah,
all of the mouth sounds.
Yeah.
Oh, so many. Here's the thing. You don't get a lot of mouth sounds if you don't buy the most expensive condenser mic you can find. Don't buy condenser mics. It's literally, at least
for podcasting.
Yes.
Yeah, for podcasting.
Buy trash that you can use as a hammer. Jason explained when I asked Jason what I should buy, he explained that the SM58 can literally be used as a hammer.
I have watched it been used as a hammer.
Yeah, is that just like one of those classic Shure mics? Like I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, Shure SM58.
He's got a 58, and I've got a 57.
Yeah, 4 years of college acapella, man. I can recognize those on site.
Yeah, I have.
This one doesn't even have my pop filter on it, which is probably why it was so loud. I have literally watched these be
used as hammers. Like I saw someone pull one out of his pocket that I did not know was in the pocket. Pat, pat, pat. All right, everything's fine. And then goes and puts it on a mic tree. I'm like, oh, okay, fine, whatever. Okay, yeah.
So next episode is going to be a battle report. And that battle report will feature, at least in some part, content from Vigilus alone. Then after that, we'll probably do a Tau episode or something like that.
Yeah.
But until then,
play the game the way you want to.
We'd love it if you could give us a positive rating and review on iTunes.
If you'd like to keep in contact with us, you can follow us on Facebook or Twitter by searching for Masters of the Forge.
And you can follow our hobby progress on Instagram with the hashtag Masters of the Forge.
If you'd like to engage with us directly, you can always join our Discord server.
To do so, or if you have any questions, topic suggestions, or if you'd like to advertise your creative hobby endeavor,
contact us at mastersoftheforge@gmail.com.
Please consider supporting us on Patreon at patreon.com/mastersoftheforge. Thanks.
The music used in this podcast was made by Parad of the duo Sublevel 3. The track is used with his permission. This podcast is protected by the Creative Commons Attribution, No Derivatives, Non-Commercial, International License. More information about this license and contact information if you have any requests can be found at our blog, mastersoftheforge.com.
It's such a good feeling to play games your way. It's such a happy feeling 40K'ing away. And when you throw dice with story in mind, it's such a wonderful way to unwind. It's a good feeling, a very good feeling, the feeling you know that we'll be back when the fortnight's new, and we'll have new ideas for you, and you'll have things you'll want to talk about. We will too.